want to know what the weak point of a mech is? The fucking pilot.
Get away from her, you bitch!
His papers say he was a raven.
Protocol 3.
A pattern blue!
Welcome to On the Shoulders of Giants, a giant robot power hour discussing mechs across media, their stories, and why we love them. I'm your host this week. My name is Brian, and I am joined by Alice.
Well, if I were the culprit, the factor I would probably use is the fact that they were virgins prior to getting a prosthetic body. For a hero prepared to martyr himself as a hero of the masses, it is a factor that is absolutely necessary. Of course, it would be a bit of a gamble as to how many people have that particular gift. You think it's twisted? You must know, I myself am a virgin.
I'm also joined by the resplendent Iris J.
Of course you realize this means war.
And I am joined by Nico.
Secure all available room in cyberspace for uploading 3 million minutes of podcasting.
Oh, if you couldn't already tell, this week we're concluding our standalone complex coverage with a set of episodes that returns us to one of OSG's favorite motifs, which is when Japanese media paws Christian imagery around like a cat pushing a mug of scalding coffee off your desk and into your lap. Let's launch into it.
I can't be
Actually, if we're going to bring up the birds, hold on. I have something. Hold on. Hold on.
Do you just have a bird?
Brian's getting this bird?
Brian is fetching the birds.
No, I have delayed showing the Blu-ray cover on the pod for one reason, and it is the birds. Because guess who's back?
Dear the birds! The birds are back!
Let's go.
Fucking Togasa's not on this DVD cover, but a bird is.
But which bird? Is it the special white bird?
It's the special white bird.
That is representative of Kuze? What could this metaphor mean? It's in front. It's standing
Also,
front and center.
Can I
in
point
front
something
of the
else
major.
out? This is poor blocking for this image because Aramaki's hair totally looks like Goda has a goatee. Just
Bold move for the second half of the season, but I support him.
I'm trying something a little different this time.
He tries to hide his massive head wound with that.
Yeah, the thing is, if you balance what's going on top of your head with something going on the bottom of your head, no one will notice. You will just zero out.
Yes.
The Guy Fieri defense.
I'm doing Movember this month. This is the only part of my face where hair will grow.
That landmine was wild.
Oh my god.
Y'all know where we're at with Standalone Complex, second gig. If this is for some reason your very first episode of OSG, which is like a vibe I can kind of respect.
Welcome.
We talked a bunch about this already in 3 other episodes. So like if you're wanting background info or like us to talk about that stuff, I would refer probably, if anything, to the Standalone Complex Season 1 Part 1 episode.
No. I need to meet our funniest listener, which is a person who would join us on episode 4 of our coverage and then write an angry email about the fact that we've provided no context.
Well, see,
Please write it if that's you.
I do have some extra stuff. I did find, and I'm a cyber sleuth. I found this on the extremely back alley channel, the Production IG website. There are a bunch of Kenji Kamiyama, somebody either transcribed him talking or he just wrote this himself. It's just like a bunch of stuff about Standalone Complex. It's on Production IG's website. We'll have the link in the episode description for that. I recommend everybody read that. It's really good. I just have some quotes that I wanted to pull from it and just read to you guys because this is the podcast.
We read out of the book.
The first quote he says is, if I had to comment on the 2 series, I would say for the first of the 2 series being Standalone Complex and Standalone Complex Season 2, information disseminates and parallelizes, and the Standalone Complex phenomenon actually exists. And for the second, good cause is seldom parallelized and it does not disseminate. In one of the episodes, someone says, as water runs toward the lowest point, so does human nature. Some may find it upsetting to hear this, but I couldn't find proof otherwise during the production process of the second series. bad news spreads easily, similar crimes recur, whereas great people like Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr. are hard to find.
There are only 3 people on Earth, as it turns out. I was going to comment on this when we got there, but there's only Hitler, Martin Luther King Jr., and Gandhi. And if you need to orient yourself politically, you have to land somewhere between those 3.
You can sprinkle in one Che for flavor, too.
Yeah, I remember also mentioned was Che Guevara, Malcolm X, and this is in the dub, and Cassius Clay, a.k.a. Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, they didn't say Muhammad Ali. That was a really weird choice. I have to think it was because of lip sync or something.
Maybe.
I don't know. It was a weird choice. They sounded like my grandfather who never acknowledged his name change. That's a bad look. You don't want to be my grandfather from fucking Alabama.
No. You don't want to be an Alabama grandfather on Ghost in the Shell. There is an Alabama grandfather in these episodes of Ghost in the Shell.
This show has everything.
Before I started working on Standalone Complex, I was looking for ideas for a new real robot anime. A missing link to fill in the gap between Patlabor and Ghost in the Shell, but I couldn't find any. There's nothing surprising about that because Ghost in the Shell is the ultimate robot anime.
That's bold. That's bold to say from someone who worked on Ghost in the Shell. You want to talk about confidence?
Yeah.
I mean, I know he was following in the legacy of other people, but like, damn, dude.
Yeah. Again, I recommend that everybody read that because he just talks. He talks actually a lot about he going into the project being like, okay, I want to be just like Mamoru Oshii, like in every way, and then his process of finding his own voice, which I think emerges in this season in a huge way. Although this season is also probably the more Oshii season of the two, I would say.
It's definitely the season of like look at a ruined landscape and talk about geopolitics.
Yes, it absolutely is that season.
We're so back.
Okay. I guess in lieu of the what did you know about it? We'll fall back on the classic. What is everybody's vibes going into this next viewing, starting with Alice?
Oh, I was dreading it. Watching this air and waiting days to watch it, this drags so much. Watching this in rapid succession like a movie, damn, it's almost like it should have been a movie. Besides that, I was also dreading, this is going to sound weird, the romance that we're getting into here, because I still feel feelings about it in different ways now, but then also hype for the most mech-ass bullshit I've ever seen. I cried. I ugly cried multiple times, and I knew it was coming again. What about you guys?
Iris, what were your vibes?
We're doing alphabetical. We
made it.
We did
it. took us 4 tries.
Yeah. No, wait. Brian comes before Iris. Oh.
Host always goes last.
That's the superseding rule. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I didn't.
Oh my god!
I didn't realize that.
Do you not know
read the
order
bylaws?
bylaws?
No,
The OSG bylaws.
I'm a babe in the woods here. I'm fumbling around in the dark. Anyways,
Section
for
9
this
of
second...
the OSG bylaws is really controversial.
We better use you on an assault on some refugee boats. Surely nothing will happen to you, new person on the squad.
Oh boy,
I'm just out of my head.
I have my whole life ahead of me. This is so great. Weird. Yeah, no, honestly, like, after watching through this series and getting more out of it like, as an adult than I did previously, I was honestly actually pretty interested to see how this back half went, because I remember, like, in the past, this is where shit kind of got away from me. I will say this time again, I understood more of it. I will say some stuff still kind of got away from me in parts. As I'm a professional writer, a cartoonist now, I feel like at least I could say for at least maybe 30 to 40% of it, I can point at and say, okay, that's not just me being stupid. There are some writing issues that I think I would tweak if I were.
I agree. There's a whole layer of contrivance that I think that this plot doesn't need, but we'll talk about it. Like, one specific thing I think would have fixed everything. Anyway.
I think it's flawed, but interesting.
Y'all know the tweet about I thought I was watching Godzilla on the plane, and I watched this really emotional movie, and it was really hard because all this stuff kept happening, and I kept going, oh my god, they're going through all this trauma, and Godzilla's gonna show up at some point. That was me watching the back half of the show when I mentioned this before we recorded, I think, but I'll mention it again. Alice sent a very beautiful gif of Togusa this morning, and I had 2 episodes left to go. And I was like, Jesus Christ, there's all this horrific geopolitical conflict happening, and at some point they're gonna kill Togusa. I spent the whole time braced. I was like, when are they gonna do it to me? I was so horrified. And when we finally got to like the last scene with the cherry blossom stuff, I was like, surely they wouldn't do it
I am
now.
looking at this GIF again. This is a particularly insidious pick mix GIF, I think, because there's a picture of a little clam musical box with a ghost hovering over it in the corner, and I'm like, that does evoke death, doesn't it?
You see what I mean? This looks like a Togusa memorial GIF.
I'm just imagining like the Major popping up out of her Tachikoma, like in the last 5 seconds of the last episode, going like, and by the way, Togusa, you're fired.
Bang, 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 bang.
And at the end, I'm just like, oh my god, I knew it was coming, and it still hurts. No, so it was really funny. I ended the show with this weird feeling of like, wow, the thing didn't happen, which was so stupid. But also, yeah, I don't know. I had a lot of really mixed feelings about this. This is going to be a funny poll. So, Alice, you saw Eddington, right?
Yes, I did.
The new Ari Aster thing he's done.
Yeah, that's a piece.
Movie, I think, is the word you were looking for, by the way.
No, it's a thing he's done. It's too much.
That's an art installation. I'm looking at it.
A lot of people have like talked about like, oh, here's all the things that were done well, but then there's like this glaring hole in the political analysis of that movie, and I'm not going to give too much away, but it tries to be a movie about 2020, and it just completely refuses to engage with a major part of 2020, and so the political commentary it manages to assemble just feels so weird, because you're left sitting as an audience going, but this thing also happened. And to an extent, that's kind of how I felt about the politics here, where I was like, well, actually, a lot of this is kind of on point. It's asking some interesting questions. It's really digging into it, especially for an action anime. Like, it's just going for it. Like, yeah, we've got Pat Labor 2 vibes in here. Like, let's just get after it. But then, yeah, there were so many times where it was just like, I feel like there's a missing step here, and it's just jarring, you know? There's a layer of, like you said, Brian, contrivance that is trying to make up for something, and honestly, it may not even need to make up for anything, but it being there implies an absence.
I think so. This has been my favorite watch of this season. The second season of Standalone Complex has always been kind of like the one where it falls off a little bit for me. First of all, Alice is going to need to take a couple, I think, 15ers to talk about, I think, what is her favorite episode. I already know. And to talk about the some of the stuff that happens in the climax, but like coming back to it, having watched this, like this is like my 4th watch of this, like you are able to pick up a lot more. There's a lot less that seems missing. I have the same solid complaint that I have had all along, which is that there is nowhere in the climax run up of these episodes where we get a single refugee voice that matters, and that has bothered me like in every watch of this. They are literally just thrown around between Kuze and Section 9. That is all they exist to do. And so like and like you
and be blown up by missiles. Don't forget that.
And also to blow themselves up. Okay, so
yep, you're right. Yep,
there's like a refugee will come within like a glancing pass at earning a name in the script, and then he'll be blasted in the head or something. It's just like,
is there like a diaspora version of the Bechdel test? two people from a disenfranchised ex-country talking to each other without referencing, you know, the metropole in any way, shape, or form.
We almost got it, but there wasn't another Kurd for Sniper Wolf to talk to in Metal Gear Solid.
Ah, shit.
I'm sorry.
She only had Otacon, who's only a Kurd in the sense that in the cheese curd sense. All right, let me give a summary, and then we'll let's like get into this, because we've got a lot of episodes, and like I said one thing last.
We're not even at the break.
Wait, what?
We're not even at the break.
Yeah. Which is that I think there are some individual episodes in this season that I think are stronger than the main plot. And they are both in this run of episodes, which is really top heavy. But anyway, here's the summary.
Oh, I thought there were going to be 11 of them. That's what I heard.
Yeah, right. A couple of
individual 11. We made it 17 minutes without saying that. I hope you guys are proud of us.
I think we're really
we have
really
to say Dejima a lot.
We have to say Dejima.
Dejima.
Okay. Section 9 is stretched between the tasks of tracking down Kuze and unearthing Gota's machinations. In this series of episodes, we get a whole lot more of Kuze's perspective, drawing him in as a character that seems to want much more than just the refugees' freedom. Eventually, it reaches public knowledge that the Dejima refugees have acquired nuclear material. Even though this isn't true, it begins to escalate the refugee crisis exponentially as Dejima declares itself an autonomous zone. Gota's manipulations become more and more Major Zero until a tense standoff on Dejima involved the GSDA, Section 4, Section 9, and a covert American nuclear submarine reaches a screaming climax. Kuze is revealed to be the paper crane boy, and Kusanagi comes within moments of escaping into the net with him when the Dejima disaster seems to go inevitably nuclear. A last-minute sacrifice puts Newport City back into a painful status quo that we're supposed to just sit with, as Gota is thoroughly owned and Kuze is forced to go on ahead, assassinated by the last of Conehead's machinations, which is a word I intentionally used twice. We're going to take a break and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about Alice's favorite episode. Hey, it's Brian in the break Brian, if you will. Just here to put in a few quick reminders. Firstly, this isn't a visual medium, but we are often discussing visual content. So Alice actually painstakingly puts together a bunch of images on our website for each episode. You should check those out. Secondly, we have a Ko-Fi now. That's ko-fi/OSG pod. So if you are like me and you often find yourself standing in the middle of a field with $1 and nowhere to put it, you can give us that $1 with the power of the internet. We just met a goal that will allow us to do a live Ghost in the Shell 2017 drunken commentary track. And that was because you all supported us enough to get Nico a vital network infrastructure upgrade that's going to make recording easier. It's going to let her get into the streams that I do every Sunday, which brings me to my next thing. OSG has a Twitch. It is twitch.tv/OSG_pod. I am on there every Sunday. Alice is occasionally on during like a Tuesday, but I am there every Sunday, and right now I'm doing a bunch of Cyberpunk games. Only other thing, I know I'm talking your ear off, the one last thing I wanted to say, because I get to record this like 2 days, actually the day before this episode drops. We were on an actual play podcast called Follow the Leader, who you might remember as having guested on our Random Access Histories episode last fall. The three of us and FTL's August and Mac played the GM-less tabletop mecha game Spectres of Brocken together. I don't know how many parts it's going to turn out to be. We've only recorded half the story so far, so really keep an eye out on the FTL feed. You should have followed them anyway from when they guested on our Random Access Histories coverage last fall. And I will finally shut up so you can get back to the show.
No, I just need to say, number one, how many times can they kill my dog?
This is the last time. It's 2. The answer is 2.
You gotta stop killing my dog.
I did. That hit. I teared up with that, and I actually teared up about Kuze too. That hit me. It has not hit me before. That hit me this time. I don't know.
Well, when you're an adult and you know how hard it is to like start new adult friendships, losing Kuze really hurts because you're like, damn, the Major's never gonna get that one back, no matter how many book clubs she joins.
I'm gonna say it right up at top because we have to say it. Hey, Ghost in the Shell, great job both predicting the current political situation in the world sphere of the American Empire-Russo alliance and also predicting the incel epidemic. Thank you, Ghost in the Shell.
100%.
We did it.
This for
holy shit.
For many situations, for many reasons, actually. I would say especially the last 4 episodes of this are going to be a really hard watch if you're very affected and tuned into what's going on in the world right now. The refugee situation is like, it had, I mean, we said this last episode, the haunting thing is the IP issue has been an issue since this show was being made, and it is all over the refugee situation here. And and of course, because it's a show and it's trying to tell a story, that is going to reach a violent climax that is, like I said, you're not gonna be able to not think about it. It's impossible.
No pun intended, the major thing I kept thinking about was not, I've never been a believer in the end of history kind of theory. We've talked about that a lot with Metal Gear Solid, like the idea that like with the end of the Cold War, history ended and like there's nothing left or whatever, you know, or we've reached this terminus point in history. it does feel sometimes that none of our problems have changed since September 11th, though. It feels like this feels prescient only because this is the same pattern of behavior we have seen from dominant world hegemon for decades now.
I believe in a recent episode of Shelved by Genre, they said that we are still living in the shadow of decisions made in the 90s, which is oof. It is 2025. We gotta. Can we just like kind of?
Can we get some different decisions?
Different yes, exactly.
Hey guys, let's chill out. Let's all get in the back of this police car and play some poker, and let's talk it out. Okay.
So actually, sorry. Let me talk about the structure really quick. I want to do like the thing where we give the small summaries at the beginning of each part, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Which actually means I should pull up the outline.
Do you not have it pulled up? I'm looking here at your beautiful notes. No, this gives me time to say, R.I.P. Saito, you would have loved Bellotro.
Saito would have loved Bellotro. Wait, Saito's fine.
Yep. R.I.P. Saito.
Wait, hold on. This is 2032. Saito's probably like 4 or something right now. Wait. No. Carry the one.
No,
he's like 20, right?
Yeah, he's alive. He's definitely got it on mobile. He's definitely,
Good
Joker
evening,
maxing
Saito.
and stuff.
You would enjoy Bellotro.
Okay, so part 1 is episodes 14 through 16. These are all going to be 3-parters except for the last one, which is that 4-part run of just like bam, 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 bam. The show does to be like, okay, we got to wrap up.
Yeah.
Okay, so episode 14, Saito plays a poker game with some of the officers from the other public security sections, detailing an ambiguously verifiable story about how he first met the Major. The Tachikoma, which is plural for Tachikoma, hold a philosophical discussion about the self, the mind-body problem, and the idea of a third self and primordial identity. Then the team also serendipitously arrests the guy who is responsible for their AI, and also the 11 helicopters thing.
Can I just say very briefly that in Japanese, the plural tends to be tachi appended to a word? Like, like you people, you'd like, so you could say Tachikoma tachi.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyway,
thank you.
Please continue.
And then finally, our boy Ishikawa's dug up some dirt on Hideo Kuze, and the gang hops into another fancy online chat room to discuss his expedition dump regarding Kuze's place in the wider discussion on World War V. Yeah, so, I mean...
Hey, Patlabor 2 was a great movie. Let's talk about the
opening sequence.
It's so good. That's it.
Where
I
it's an
it.
intervention in Mexico, which, God, again, like I just read a book that like its setting is completely the border between America and Mexico, and I was like, this is the kind of conflict and like escalation of violence. I will say Ghost in the Shell undefeated for actually calling the American Empire. Like, I really appreciate that. And I like that it just kind of puts on screen stuff that is basically, there's a lot of literal on-screen warfare that in our world is abstracted by the Chicago School of Economics. Like, there's a lot of stuff that would literally be guns in the streets if it wasn't capitalism doing extreme crimes.
Absolutely.
To people. So,
well, and like, I mean, I don't know, Alice, walk us through navigating under extremely competent sniper fire.
Okay, so this is interesting in that I think the way that they frame this is very reminiscent of the actions in Serbia. Basically, the only buildings left standing were hospitals, churches, things like that, where it's like, we can't bomb everything. But then you get lone gunman situations like this. So Saito's whole shtick is that he's the best sniper ever. Because he just has one prosthetic eye. What if he didn't have prosthetic eye? And what if, while carrying a tactical nuke with your UN team in the middle of Mexico City, you walked in a straight line without maintaining cover? And I thought that was a choice. So, okay, I really like this because from just the tactics of it all, it's very interesting. So they're trying to figure out where the fire is coming from, which it's very hard. You can usually pick up snipers on the second and third shot, but Saito's good. I do
loved
find
his decoy thing.
Yeah, Saito also has an automatic decoy sniper rifle,
which is great. Love that
cool.
in the movie Shooter. A++, good trope to use. No, so it's interesting because I love the squad mechanics, because when you're thinking of like cyberized bodies and stuff, they have helmets. They're cool, unique helmets. They are having to be off of comms because of the jamming, so they only have verbal communications. But then, okay, let's just talk about the showdown between the two of them, because this is the most mech shit in the fucking world.
It's the most mech shit in the fucking world.
She fucking they figure it out through tactics, figure out where he's at. She gets up to the floor that he's on, and she comes around the corner, and she has her rifle in she's holding it like a machine gun. She comes around the corner and takes a couple of shots and takes out the jamming device that he's using. And he like gets a shot off, but then takes cover. And he starts to think through like, what's gonna happen if I take this corner and shoot? And the Major is just standing there, stock still, fully cyborg's body. We get this beautifully drawn shot of the sweat off of her brow going, well, it's not sweat, it's rain, dripping down over her eye, and it's not twitching. And he's like, well, she probably has all ranges of combat fire installed in her, right? Oh, wait, maybe she doesn't have mid-range. That's why she's using the rifle in a bullpup mode, so she can, if she misses the first shot, she can just keep shooting. He takes the bet. She did have it installed and was faking him out, shoots him, but shoots him intentionally to not kill him, so she can run up, shoot his gun, kick it out of his hand, and say, hey.
She does the ultimate sniper versus sniper move, which is she shoots him in the scope.
Yeah.
So it takes out his eye. That's why Saito doesn't have that eye, is because the Major shot through his scope. And then goes,
I love a backstory.
Hey, you're pretty handy with that rifle. You're mine. At which point, yeah, I mean, obviously Saito, it doesn't matter. My favorite thing about Saito in this is that his backstory is apparently that he got bored of being part of the neoliberal, unaffected by war world order, so he went and signed up with a PMC, and then for extra credit, like, went to go hunt down the squad with a tactical.
Young Ishikawa, I'm free on Thursday, by the way. I had to get that out there.
Oh, yeah, Young Ishikawa is here. Young Bato is here.
Young little dipshit Bato is here. It fucking whips, actually.
It's so good.
He's the new recruit, and it all makes sense why he's so hard on new recruits.
I love the fact that Ishikawa and the Major seem to have the most history, and like Bato is the one who's wife guy moding. Ishikawa is your oldest friend who knows too much about you to want to marry you. Like, I love it. Anyway, yeah, the whole dynamic here. It's great.
Yeah. I also love we learn, first off, we learn that the Major's, moniker, the Major, comes from this time or possibly before, and not just from her service in Section 9. They were calling her the Major back here, which is a wild flex. Maybe it's also because her other nickname around now is Queen Kong, which is a suck-ass nickname, which I'm glad she dropped.
I don't know why you don't keep Cash Eye. After pulling that stun, I don't know.
Cash Eye was slick.
Cash Eye is top tier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's interesting.
I can't believe Saito killed Pickles.
Pickles! No, it's Pickles! Oh my god, the accents.
They killed Pickles!
The American guy's a racist dick.
Yeah, I do like that the Major seems to have the title The Major, irrespective of her actual rank. Because they say something to that effect, which is like, she's not a Major. They call her the Major. She's just extremely funny to me. And that, to me, echoes fandom, because we all just were like, oh, this is the Major? Okay, this is the Major from here on out. I will accept no other name. Anyway, great story to tell over poker before folding ostentatiously when you had a winning hand.
First off, I love that the Tachikoma is the only one who wants to check it. We all knew it was going to happen. Thank you, Tachikoma. Second of all, I love that this is all a framework just to establish the fucked up politics that we're about to get in over this 13 episodes of like,
yes.
Hey, by the way.
Also, like small little counter at the bottom of the screen mark. The amount of times the characters in Section 9 have transported nuclear material.
Yeah, counter go up. And that's not even counting my favorite incident, which we will get to.
Is it when Ishikawa just has it in his Jetta passenger seat? Yeah.
Ishikawa just has it loose, unbuckled in the passenger seat.
It's crazy.
Oh, gotta buckle that shit, man. Put it in a baby seat.
I do need to say, I love that. So we've seen a lot of approaches to big exposition dumps, including like at the beginning of this season. There was like how do we convey this action? And sometimes they'll have like the Tachikoma talk to each other because the Tachikoma are presented as almost childlike. So they have access to a lot of information, but in terms of processing it and contextualizing it, they do that verbally amongst themselves. And it's a good way to like get exposition to us in a charming way. I do like that the approach they took here was to point to one, history of these characters, which fans are always going to want. I'm always going to want to know about Saito. Like, sorry, we're going to want to know about Saito. But it also, like I was just saying, it's like, it points to the fact that this conflict that they're in now is a product of the conflicts they were in before, which is a repetition of a certain thing. There's a point at which Goda says we need to reinstitute a Cold War framework, which is so funny to me. He just
That is the quote that made me refer to him as Major Zero in the fucking summary. I'm like, you cannot be saying we need to revert to a Cold War state.
Some Stephen Miller shit.
This is a really good way to kind of outline the players in these conflicts and how long these tensions have been in place by tying them directly to a backstory that informs how the rest of Section 9 is going to interact with this.
I think it's really cool, too, because in most, like, modern Japanese media, discussing Article 10 is, like, such a critical thing. So to take that to its natural end state of a like, one world digital transformation, because this is all, like, Ghost in the Shell is a build-up to a singularity, right? Like, these are all stories leading up to that singularity. So it's really cool to interpret it through that lens, in my opinion.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, like, I think the next two episodes we can kind of glaze over, but I just wanted to say one other thing about the character stuff going on here, which is just that there's an ambiguity here, which is like, was the story real? And like, I mean, I'm pretty sure the episode wants us to believe that it's real. But the other thing that I think is neat about that is that it literally doesn't matter if it's real, because this episode is such a great spectacle and it's doing such an interesting thing by recontextualizing all the Section 9 characters and putting them in this like the situation that is new to us, but is like foundational to them. It's just a really cool thing to see. Like, basically, like Nico said, I'm always going to want to know about Saito. I'm always going to want to see young Ishikawa giving young Bato a bunch of shit. That just rules. It's just going to hit.
Pickles dying.
Yeah. And it's this kind of foundation building that helps pay off things later, like when Bato has the standoff with the Rangers. Like, having a hint of this history is what makes that stuff later believable.
Episode 15, Afternoon of the Machines. I don't really have much to say about this one.
Hey, the Tachikoma, we were going to solve Tachikoma, okay? And it was going to be faultless. We were just going to fucking let the Tachikoma keep doing their weird freak shit, but we're going to put all their brains in a satellite uplink, and this will present no problems later. It's totally fine.
Hey, over there, is that Raiden working on the Tachikomas over there? Did you guys just see that?
How many Raidens can one show have?
Proto is special to me. Proto is a character that completely fell off of my recollection of this whole show, because I think until like the last episode, he fell off the recollection of the writer's room a little bit. Because you can't like give a guy a name and then like he doesn't really do anything. You know, it was weird. But yeah, any thoughts about this?
I'm so glad we have scholarly masculinity represented in Section 9.
This is Proto, our Bishiden. He's always been here. Everybody knows him and everyone loves him. He'll be here till the rest of the series.
Hopefully.
We find out that this is
Shonen is in.
He has his whole life ahead of him.
Well, I do like, okay, I really find it cool. This for me, I love any episode that focuses on the Tachikomas exploring and understanding their sense of self, because the big gloss that was given to the whole situation with the Tachikomas last season was, oh, we were getting organic oil and that made us weird. And like, that has been left as sort of the pretense.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Now that they're back, they're interrogating this again, because the same shit is still happening, even though they don't get any organic oil. None of the circumstances are the same except for them. And so they're wondering about why they are, to me at least, they're wondering about why they are allowed to exist this time as opposed to being sent back to the lab the way they were last time, because the Major was freaked out. And what is hinted at here is that there is a superstructure that was put in place around the Tachikoma to help monitor their development, because the Major's fear the last season was that they were developing too quickly. Not that they were developing individuality, but that it was happening too quickly. And so it seems like now they're being allowed to progress down the path, but they've been given bumpers, basically. It's like, okay, here's your safe play area. And then the B plot of this episode, tracking down the original designer of the Tachikoma, is tied into making sure that they can actually say that the Tachikoma are completely encircled. And what's standing out is this piece of code he left in there as like a maker's mark, where he wanted to be recognized for his individuality. But this is also something, I think this is a moment that feels inconsequential, but it builds on the moment that will allow the Major to turn Goda into a chunky salsa later, which is the assertion of sovereign control of individuals. And like, what is a state asset which cannot be allowed into the hands of another state, regardless of the fact that that is a person. And I think that stuff is really interesting. And that's all tied into this larger plot where the Tachikomas realize that their intelligence is being housed on a satellite. And that's why they sometimes feel like they have a god's eye view of themselves.
Which is fun. I like that too.
Because they do. I like that.
Any other thoughts about Mr. 15 here?
I just want to say, so I'm going to touch on it here, but we can just touch on it throughout this. I think using the context of the Ghost in the Shell manga is going to help us a lot in these episodes.
I'm really glad we read it.
Huge.
And what I'm going to say is, if you like Standalone Complex, read that manga, because, oh boy. So the superstructure of Tachikoma in the Sky, I'm like, I love this recontextualization of okay thought that was in 1.5 Solid State Machine. And we'll see it more. I think that's pretty cool. I also think that this is a very good explanation of where the Tachikomas are in their development cycle and their plot line. And I think it's fun that this is also just reflecting the first season. Like, we are beat for beat pretty much now. Like, this is about the exact time we had our Tachikoma episode in a first gig. And we're going to keep getting those.
It's interesting because this is also the episode where they're going to sit in their digitized meeting room and dump exposition about what's happened so far.
It's just kind of a chat.
And I think on the one hand, it's like, okay, this feels like it's beat for beat repeating something. But having done the Metal Year, I don't think anything can beat for beat repeat the way that Hideo Kojima does. And it's interesting to me the way that story structures are useful, both because they allow you to do what you need to do, which is like, hey, it's the middle of the season, we need to recap, or hey, it's the middle of the season, we have the Tachikoma, we need to check in on what's up with them. Like, it allows you to create a compare contrast very neatly in an interesting way.
It must be said, this experience has made me desperately miss a 26 episode season, or just more than 12 or 8, for the love of fuck.
I fucking miss it so fucking bad, y'all. We shouldn't have let them do this to us.
What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck is this world? What have they done to us? What did they do to us?
Episode 16, The Fact of Being There. This is again our like exposition dump episode. So, okay, we get the first hint of a Hideo Kuze plot that is crazy to me, which is that like he eat, pray, loved his way across Eurasia and it changed his life.
Yeah. We got to get into the Hideo Kuze of it all.
So
the Hideo Kuze of it all is he may be a mirror to a certain character, but he didn't find his meaning in being part of the military.
Well, speaking of that, I want to check in with Nico because in the last round of episodes, we were all saying something like, when we talked about the episode where they talk about Hideo Kuze's face, we were like, oh, and he went away to experiment on prototype bodies and went into the military and was never found again. That will never come up again. And Nico said, I don't know what this is referring to. And in this episode, Ishikawa says he went around Eurasia folding various paper cranes. And I just want to check in with Nico real quick. How are we feeling about Hideo
Kuze? He just like me for real. He just like me for real. I understand him. He just like me for real.
Anyway,
I do think it's funny that there so often when anime is interested in the childhood of a character, the character is not allowed to abandon the trappings and the markers of their childhood. Like, there was no way that Hideo could be like, damn, I used to fold a lot of cranes when I was 8. I never thought about that after that. Like, there was no chance in the world that was going to happen. Like, this is just a conceit in storytelling. If you were going to focus on a character who was a child and then an adult, the adult must carry all of the signifiers of the child. It's a very funny thing to have happen, especially in contrast to someone like the Major, who is so often presented as a blank slate. Like, the Major is just a badass woman with no past. Like, she doesn't even know her own name. She says that at one point here in the last parts of the episodes. But she does, in fact, have a long history, and it's like Kuze was the one who was haunted by it for some reason. Like, he alone took on the haunting.
I disagree a little bit, because I think this is the episode where I can safely say at this point the Major knows who he is. Because we get that great cut where the Major is like basically not in this episode until the very end, where everyone takes their helmets off and she's also there, and they're like, oh my god, what the fuck. And she was like, yes, I was listening the whole time. I'm going to say some things and then walk away enigmatically. And then basically for the rest of the show, she's like chewing her nails and brooding. I think she's very haunted.
Hot.
Yeah, I think she felt safer when she thought that period of her life could be forgotten. And now it's like, well, nope, someone's been remembering this whole time, and now they're back, and now they're going to bring that memory back.
Now they're going to
you.
shoot missiles and shit.
Now they're going to have a Stinger missile and get in a fight with a helicopter. Hello, Hideo Kuze, are you home?
Okay, like,
I love it.
The Metal Gear parallels don't just end there. Like, so much of this was, what was it? The whole plot in this episode was about the whole previous war that Hideo Kuze got wrapped up in being used as a pretense to use nukes to make money for the green collar economy. Something we all, of course, remember from Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots.
or the Bleeding Heart liberals on the military oversight committee.
Those bleeding our liberals.
The particular conflict he was involved in was the American Empire sought to regain superpower status by fighting over resources in the peninsula, which I looked it up. Where he was stationed, Sinuiju is a real place in North Korea. So the peninsula, when they ever refer to it on the show, is Korea.
And it's Korea, and it's a unified Korea. Later, they mention
Korea.
It is a unified Korea that the Communist Party was driven back out of.
Yeah, and Japan is in charge of it after World War IV.
Huh.
At one point, Ishikawa was like, wow, you'll never believe it. It looks really modern. You'd be surprised. Which, it's
scary.
Bleak.
That's super uncool.
Yeah, there's a lot of funny girl boss stuff that happens around the female PM, and every once in a while I just remember that in text she was like the lead of like the conservative party, and I'm just like, sometimes this show's like, what if Margaret Thatcher was based?
This episode also marks something I want to talk about with Kaibuki, which is that, like, obviously we're not supposed to interpret her or render her as a Margaret Thatcher. Like, she's not supposed to be like the evil war criminal prime minister. However, and like, I get that this is a direction you can go with the character. I'm fine with it. It's just a bummer to me that at no point in the show does she actually really have any power. Like, and especially here, there's a scene in this episode where the cabinet secretary, who is a fucking creep, by the way,
gets right
up on her. And like, it is just, especially in Japan, like, this is so publicly unacceptable. And the fact that she clearly does not feel empowered to like enforce a personal boundary with him as the prime minister of Japan is like, it's kind of tough.
I was thinking a lot about how empty power is conveyed across gender lines. Because if they present a male character who has empty power, they're almost made sympathetic by the idea that masculinity should entitle him to true power, and yet due to the feminist gay machinations of the state powers and people who push pencils and shit, he has been made an empty throne. You know, he's been made an empty figurehead. But when a woman is put in that role, it's like there's like this thing where it's like, well, of course she should be powerless, and it should not be startling or confusing to the viewer because she's a woman. Like, so of course she should be intimidated by men. Of course she should have these situations. Of course she should have to be put in these positions of contrition and needing to be protected like a damsel and shit even though she is the prime minister of the Conservative Party, and it to me, it seemed to turn entirely on the mechanism of gender. Like, the moment that they made the PM female in this show, everything got weird, including everything around Aramaki and
neglected
his
to be the Tachikomatic Days correspondent real quick. They're mostly lame.
I can't believe you've done this.
They're mostly lame. The one from the last episode is actually really funny though, because one of the Tachikomas wants to leave its body and become an FCS for Togas's handgun to help him shoot better.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, we'll do this. We can do target practice. And then it's so simple, it's so dumb, but you should watch this one because the physical comedy and the timing of it is so funny. They pan over and the reveal is Jameson is holding a target fan and it is like comically oversized. It is so funny to me. It fucking rules. Alice, you have something?
I wanted to talk about the prime minister. So I do want to be very clear because when we use the term conservative, sometimes that's applied to a specific ideology in a Western sense. And I do want to say that in this show, we don't actually know what Japanese political landscape is at the time and what that means, but we can use what we do know, which is their foreign relations at the time and what their policies are. And so what I'll say is that while they do describe her as the conservative prime minister, she's cozying up to China and she's pro the refugees having status versus the cabinet secretary who is racist who loves America. Who knows what that means?
100 years ago in this country, the Democrats were considered the conservative party. So,
well, I mean, you don't have to go back that far. My grandparents went and ran and changed their registration after the Civil Rights Act. Like, no, I mean, I try to keep that in mind when I think about it's a really good point you raise, Alice, because I don't know what conservative means in that context.
I also want to say that in that I do believe that this show, like, as much as interrogating these ideas, I do feel like it's not interrogating them in a way that puts any of them on a particular blast. And I do feel like a part of the undercurrent of this that I didn't really enjoy is I do feel like there is an ideology behind some of this that comes through that doesn't get countered or anything like this. Like,
it's conveyed as status quo.
There are a lot of assumptions made, and there are a lot of ones in Japanese culture that I think come through in this, and that there is an underlying racism and a want for a powerful military and all of these things that I think the show doesn't do enough to say, hey, this is fucking bad, actually. Also, there's 2 women, and one of them gets locked in a room. That's her character plot in this entire fucking show, and I'm mad about it.
Yeah.
Iris, you basically have a note about this in these episodes, which is basically people talking about how the Japan Security Treaty sucks.
Yeah, so I wanted to not to go back to episode 14, but because that also kind of ties into this one, and it also ties into the whole series. The whole thing about in the show, the U.S. and Japan are renegotiating their security treaty because Imperial America, quagmired in a war, you're going to hear that word a lot, had an economic collapse, which means that it's easier for Japan to get more wiggle room on how they can define what their standing military looks like and whether or not they can own nukes. This is especially prescient right now in Japanese politics, if you've been paying attention. They just had a really big election. A bunch of the previous ruling party, the LDP, I want to say, they're like a conservative establishment party, but a lot of them got voted out by a block of younger voters who pushed for many of which pushed for the Sanseito Party, a new extremist ultra-right faction that wants to re-acknowledge the emperor as a divine figure and wants to start calling it the Japanese Empire.
Oh.
So, like, 1, yikes. 2, it's interesting that it's kind of this constant echoing refrain in Ghost in the Shell, but in a lot of Japanese media post-World War II, where it's this weird, uncomfortable tension of something awful was done to us, and we want to fight for peace. But also, wasn't it kind of base to have an empire before that? But also, I know these guys are occupying us, but isn't it kind of cool how we're establishing an economic sphere of influence in tandem with them? So they can't torpedo their relationship with America, but also they have to look like a big boy with the big pants. It's
bleak.
Yeah. I mean, nothing
and
fucking
this kind of that kind of struggle, that weird inferiority complex still crops up in media like this, trying to comment on a future that is being reflected in our now. It's bizarre.
Yeah, nothing fucking haunts you like the ghost of former glory, especially if you maybe never really had it. Like, ugh.
But who's gonna think of the PKF soldiers who have to go out there and massacre a bunch of malnourished enemy soldiers in a peninsula they have no right to be in, and then they have to get high on hashish and abuse the locals? Who's gonna think of them?
Yeah,
more female
like
hashish-ridden drone pilots.
Okay, let's get to the next section.
Yeah.
Because it gets good.
The next section, which is episodes 17 through 19. Kusanagi is finally able to express some tenderness and care for someone outside the divergent bubbles of sweaty coworkers and the horde of GFs. When a refugee kid that deeply admires Kuze gets caught up in a bunch of disparate gang dealings that are beneath her purview and jurisdiction, but guess whose asses she starts kicking anyway. An enigmatic bomber that swaps bodies to avoid prosecution accidentally leaves a huge lead when he falls into a coma. The CIS recommends Kusanagi and Bato to an international committee that believes they've tracked him down, and he's about to bomb another international committee in Leeds. What unfolds is the saddest shit you ever saw. The refugees declare a militarized autonomous region from the mainland. Goda is a mask-off douchebag, and Section 9 finally seems to track down Kuze in Dejima, but it unfolds in a disaster that kills a Section 9 red shirt and marks our ascent into the climax of the season.
I would like to postulate the theory that the only reason that the Major gets different clothes in this season is so that a key can be put in her pocket in this episode.
Maybe, yeah.
This is my big Major pants theory.
I want to show my ass. So the first time I saw this, I was like, oh, the reveal is it's actually a girl. She's just tomboyish the whole time.
So there is a gender thing going on
the
here.
Bathroom scene. Well, because I'm like, oh, they're in the bed together. Yeah. She's naked. And I'm like, oh, this is probably fine because they're both girls. Whatever. Who cares?
It's so weird.
Gender isn't real. It's a robot body. And I'm like, oh, the reveal is she wants to be like the Major, and she's a girl who's out there being tough and rough and out there. So, no, it's just a little shitty guy.
I don't know what is going on with this kid that makes me that I get the sense, I can't say for sure, I get the sense I've thought he was trans and haven't been wrong every time I've watched this episode.
I think there's also the masculinity of people from third world nations can be made ambiguous to certain audiences. And I do think that, like, when you're trying to figure out how to do the voice acting, now granted, I just watched the dub, I didn't hear the original track, but like, I don't know. Sometimes there are choices that are made, and there are things that are made around like what kinds of masculinity are threatening or non-threatening versus okay or not okay versus feminized or not feminized. I don't know. I thought this was an interesting kind of dogleg to take into Taiwan. And to talk about, again, like we know that the peninsula is Korea. So like, yeah, what is the greater situation of East Asia and Southeast Asia? Like what's going on here? So I did like this.
Continuing the tradition that Ghost in the Shell has, which it does mostly a pretty good job with, which is this episode is the movie that we watched recently. And we wanted to make an episode of Ghost in the Shell about it. This is Leon the Professional. I think, Leah,
the next episode literally being based on a movie is so funny. I looked up the wiki. I was like, why was this episode so fucking weird? And they're like, yeah, this is a version of a German
that episode
movie.
bangs,
like, oh,
first of all. Second of all, this episode's cool. Like, the action's cool.
Can we talk about that doorman, though?
The doorman.
Yes. Okay, yes.
Please talk about the doorman. I have no idea what you're talking about.
The doorman cyborg with his fucked up neck?
Oh, yes.
There's a guy. Yes. Yeah. He's the most, and like, we're finally getting to see some people who are, let's say, not getting the most top of the line cyber. And what those look like is they look fucked. There's this dude who has a fucking Nobi boy ass looking head and neck situation.
Face.
Like, and his big gooey eyes, and I love his design. No neck, no, all neck, just like
one big long meat finger
and a little head on the end. It's incredible. I love how he looks.
And he's the guy they got checking the door. And you know what she does? She punched that face.
Because he looks like a whack-a-mole. You just smash it back in.
Yeah, I think
it's instinctual.
Cyborgs are so cool.
I hate this.
I love cyborgs.
I have a knee-jerk response to this. I don't even know if it's strong enough to be a trope, but I've seen it a couple times where it's like, oh, this hard woman, but actually, what draws out the tenderness in her is the motherly instinct. That's so fucking boring to me.
Well, I mean, that was my whole complaint about the boss.
Yeah,
like the whole character of the boss, right? And that does when they're trying to figure out how do we get to the heart of a female character who's badass, like they introduce a child. Hey, we can literally put this in conversation with Cyberpunk if we're looking at Mona Lisa Overdrive. They wanted to humanize Molly Millions. You give her, I think the kid's name is Hanako in that one. Like, she's in charge of a kid, and like that's how you kind of get to more of the core of Molly Millions, which I thought was sufficiently done with the Riviera stuff. But anyway,
yeah. I think that it could have been like. There is potential for a story about the Major to involve like her getting to know a kid and it not being a weird maternal thing, because she was also a child who got really traumatically fucked up, and like she didn't have a choice to get into her cybernetic body. And here's this kid, like, you know, pushing his luck every chance he gets. He's involved in a drug running operation, and he says his end goal is to get fully cyberized, something that she basically had to take on under great duress. So like, I feel like when she's saying like, hey, get your shit together at the end of this episode to this kid, and he's trying to watch out for him, it's not just like, you'll make me think of what if I was mommy. It's like, I see you and I see a version of me that like I don't want you to make the same mistakes that I didn't get to make. You know what I mean?
That's super, super fair.
But like, also it's like 23 episodes or 23 minutes of a show, and they really don't get a chance to expound upon that.
And I think if she had said, I wanted her to say something cutting about the cyberization, like you're gonna miss peeing, or I don't know, fucking something like
me when I miss
peeing. Any other thoughts about Red Data, Mother and Child /
No, I'm ready to get to chapter 7 of the Ghost in the Shell manga. The Berlin episode.
This episode is called Angel's Poem, or Trans Space Parent.
It was not about trans people as I thought.
See,
same joke.
My headcanon is there's a female ID somewhere in his long list of bodies. I feel like there's gotta be.
Well, his name is Angelica.
I know, right?
Trans mask, but in the weirdest way possible.
I think this episode absolutely whips ass from the fucking minute it starts to the minute it ends. I don't know how you guys feel. It seems like Nico didn't respect it.
I don't know. It didn't grip me.
I liked it. I always think that this is cute. I really love Bato's introspection about he thinks people see him, but nobody's actually looking at him.
Okay, first of all, she was blind. I don't know. Second of all, my favorite thing about Bato this episode is that he is just bitching. He is complaining so much. No one has ever wanted to be somewhere less. No one has ever wanted to be at work less than Bato wants to be at work in these episodes. It is so funny to me.
Bato wants to be at Bergheim, and he's having to show up at the conference.
I wasn't even supposed to be here today, Major.
There's a night and day location cut that ends with him bitching about being at the job, and then starts the next day with him on a bench bitching about being on this job. It is so funny.
Real haters never quit. I will say, I think what turned me off immediately about this episode, I have a really hard time with media that wants you to follow them on the story, which is predicated on the idea that violating ethics is good because sometimes you stop crimes. Because the whole episode is predicated on the violation of doctor-patient confidentiality. That's the whole reason that this plays out. And there's like this brief conflict within the doctor who's talking about, oh, should I reveal this? Should I not reveal this? We found this data and everything. And it's like,
well, I don't think I think your criticism holds up. I don't think doctor-patient confidentiality in the show holds up, because criminal actions supersede doctor-patient confidentiality. That is like the number one thing in the law. And like, I'm not saying that in response to your argument. I'm saying that that the show, the concept, the tension that starts that doesn't work in the show because of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I have a hard time when it's like, anytime there's like if we violate this rule that's in place for a reason, or this practice that's in place for a reason or whatever, And one of them, too, I was thinking of, unfortunately, my very brave spouse is rewatching Grey's Anatomy, and we just did the episode where they have to operate on a serial killer. And the whole episode is about, like, what if your surgeon finds out you're an asshole and wants to kill you? Like, I don't know. I just wasn't here for it. But it's a technically well-executed episode. Anyway.
I think it's relevant that this is also the episode where we find out that one thing that we can do in this world is spy on and rifle through the memories of people who are comatose, which is a minor detail, but a very fucked up one.
Yes.
Yeah.
That just feels like one of those, like, hey, we found a legal loophole with cyber brains, guys. Okay, so the other thing, I just want to make one observation about this, which is, like, Bato is that friend, you know, who really wants someone to talk to them about their feelings because they're going through it, and no one has the emotional labor available. He's in the team chat call-ins. They're like, Station 1, good to go. Station 2, good to go. Station 4? Station 4? And he's like, I'm the most depressed I have ever been in my life. Everything's fine here. And the Major's like, Bato, are you okay? And
I'm
he's
fine.
Like, I'm just cold.
You're not cold. You're a robot. Anyway, a cyborg.
The chill to my bones here in Berlin.
We'll move on. I just want to say, I think thing that hits in this episode for me is because Ghost in the Shell is about how ethics don't apply to Section 9. So like that didn't really bother me that much. But the thing that hits in this episode for me is at the end when they have the dad on the ground and the girl is trying to get, like, she doesn't know it, but she's trying to get Bato to say the code phrase that he knows. If he wanted to, he could play it like this, like, I'm your dad. Yes, this is the last time I'm ever going to be here. He could leave her with thinking that her dad is out there somewhere. But instead, he says the angel is not coming. And that just hit me. He chose, like, he was at a crossroads and he chose something very deliberately. And I think that is a great character moment for Bato, who has not really gotten an episode except for this one in this season. So that's what I liked about it for me.
It's definitely a choice towards cruel reality over ambiguous hope, which I think is a theme of this show.
Consternation just crossed Iris's face.
It's very, like, okay, first off, my 2 cents is I don't really enjoy this episode, but I think it has some amazing backgrounds. I love it. The problem is I can't not compare it to Angel's Share from the first season, because that was the other one where we're going to Europe, everybody.
Yeah.
But
again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
I think it is interesting that the CIS did this specifically to get Bato and Motoko out of Tokyo while they were doing their shit.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a really great touch. And I also love that Motoko found where Bato was by hacking his eyes, like fucking everybody does, because that dude has not yet learned to put like an antivirus on his eye feed at all yet.
Do you
I don't know
think
why
it's
not.
that, or maybe he has, but the Major has like all access codes?
Yeah. No, that's what I was going to say is he does, but he also gave the Major his Norton password. Like,
yeah, fair.
Like,
fair.
Okay. Episode, what is it? Episode 19 in Chain
19.
Reaction of Symmetry. I got to say right off the top, Crispin Freeman voice acting as Togus in this episode says the word Fukuoka. 2 syllables. Fukuoka. I could not handle it.
Oh my god, it was a lot. It was a lot for me, a Togus stand to deal with. I was in them trenches. I was like, listen.
Okay.
And I had nothing to say after that.
Yeah. Again, this is another one of those episodes that I think is good. I just don't have that much to say about. So I don't know what you guys think.
Mm-hmm.
I have a bunch of stuff to say about this one, actually.
Yeah, hop in here.
This whole season has been marked by a lot more hacking stuff than we had in the previous season. And I think that it looks really, really good in this episode. They do a really good job with showing people as like little lines of data clustering and tying around nodes and stuff. I didn't realize I took so much inspiration for my comic Crosswires from this. Just interesting. I also wanted to point out that I did, but then I forgot and I remembered again. I would love a show that was just about the kind of like casual back alley doctor guy. Like, I just want a show that is about that guy and about what he like does from day to day. I loved the scene where they're interviewing him. I also loved the scene where the Major goes full Slitterhead with the cop and like the little regional police box and the homeless guy outside. That was incredible. But most of all, I wanted to talk about. So Kuze's chatting with the other refugees on the ship where he is. And there's one really young kid. You can tell he's like a greenhorn. And he's really ticked off at Kuze because he still remembers when Kuze was a member of the Individual 11. And this is kind of something that's really been... But this is kind of a conflict that was simmering in the back of my head too, because it felt like Kuze's character in the second half of the season is wildly different from the first half. And yeah, he got over the I-11 virus, but even then it feels like such a weird veer for him.
Oh yeah, no, that this is the center of a lot of those holes, right? Where it's like, Kuze, you put it best. It's like he used to be an r/male living spaces guy, and now he's Che Guevara. What the fuck happened?
Yeah, but it's great too because this kid is like, if you're so into refugee rights, why did you kill Densetsu, the #1 with the bullet cyber brain rapper? And that just ties into a statement they made back in episode that was
it's the terrorism pissing contest episode, right? Yeah.
Right, yeah. But in episode 16 they mentioned that the thing that Kuze is doing where he's linking his brain up to all the other refugees, artists do that as like fandom hubs, which that's as a creator, that's a terrifying concept.
Yeah, that's horrifying. I don't want that in there.
Come on in. Everyone's invited.
It makes sense that the kid who is used to interacting with activists and like incendiary thought through this mode would be interacting with Kuze and being like, hold on. Didn't this guy kill the last guy who was doing this and who I participated in? What's up with that? I just thought that was interesting that he's the one to grab onto that when everybody else is like, oh yeah, Kuze, cool guy. We all love him.
Want to push back on that a little bit on the characterization of Kuze thing, because like, I mean, well, like the show is bending itself into pretzels to show that he was never one of those guys. He's wearing literally the opposite colors and has the opposite color hair from all of them. All of the dialogue between them is like strained and weird, and you can tell he doesn't really belong there. And also, up to this point, like that's the only characterization of him that we've gotten so far. So like until we understood the cult of personality thing that we got from the Ishikawa episode, like he could have been anything. So I just think I don't know. Kuze's arc in this has worked better for me on this watch than in any other watch. I think it's more solid than the Gota stuff, personally.
I can see that. I do think it's suffering a little bit from white savior syndrome in the sense
he's
that
not white, but I get
someone, yeah, I know. But the idea of out group savior or in group savior to out group.
Totally. Oh, because he's not a refugee. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it strikes me, it's like, even when people are very well intentioned, but they accidentally write that story, there's a maneuver that happens that is almost like something they can't help, which is either the writers have gotten attached to the character or the story is predicated so much on that character being so loved that it's almost hard to backtrack and build the foundation for why they were loved, to express what that magnetism is, to actually put substance or even just like a few minutes of story into that draw. To them, it just makes sense for them to have that draw. Like, of course, people would flock to this person. They just have this about them. And that's something that's repeated in text, but it's something that I feel like is a little thinner on the ground if you're watching it, other than going, oh, I've seen this narrative before.
I think that's really interesting, and they allude to it with how his brain is tied in, is he does allude that he is having active conversations with anybody who wants to have a conversation. And I can only think of think if you had unfettered access to a thought leader and you could just have a full one-on-one, no delay conversation, just interrogating their ideas. And that's interesting that this kid chose, I have to go in person to talk to him over that. And what the kid ends up respecting from Kuze is, I have the power to hurt others.
Yeah. I mean,
I think it's interesting.
I agree. I think it's interesting. And I mean, pragmatically, like that is a tool that must be used sometimes. So,
but he frames it, he says it's a deterrent more than anything, which Imperial America says,
bruh,
I'll just use it.
this podcast is the podcast that did the Metal Year. I cannot hear even the word deterrent anymore. My brain is fucked, dude.
It's so complicated. It's so interesting, the geopolitics that are coming on here. I mean, I've mentioned it a few times before. I kept circling back to the Jakarta Method by Vincent Blevins. I kept circling back to, there's a conversation happening here between, literally at one point it calls out that it's like, wow, Kuze's actually managed to pivot them to nonviolent resistance or whatever, you know? Like, there's such a weird thing that happens. And that's in the same conversation where they're like, we used to maybe think he was like Hitler, and now we think he's like Martin Luther King Jr. Oh, no, this is also the conversation where they say Cassius Clay. That's why I remembered it, because it was so weird. Like, there are a lot of figures that they're grabbing for, and, like, it's so interesting because, like, I kept thinking about the obliteration of left-wing movements in moderate terms. The only figures we have left that we, like, remember well are mostly in a Western sphere, or they are so notable that they are functionally, like, secular saints. They are figures that you, like, point to, or secular devils in the case of Hitler, you know? Like, you're pointing to iconic figures because you don't have, like, more moderate figures to make a comparison, which I think is interesting, us just coming off our coverage of Heavenly Tyrant, which is willing to name drop Salvador Allende and other people. Like, you know, it has different places it goes to, whereas, I don't know, the politics of this show, it's so interesting how much they dug into it, but then also sometimes I feel like they bit off more than they could chew.
I would so, like, you know, again, I'm sorry, my brain, we are so fucked. You know, I would rather them bite off more than they can chew and have the show feel a little bit too mealy than for it to be like emptily throwing nouns at me like the way Metal Gear Solid 3 does. That, like, just like, you know what I mean?
I honestly do.
That's valid.
I will always appreciate that they went for it over, like, never mentioning
like
someone.
Like Kamiyama's like thinking about this, you know what I mean? So,
also nodding vigorously.
The show is not a visual medium, and yet we are all on call, so we are constantly just having things happen, like the time I ate mozzarella cheese on call and Brian had to make a thing about it.
I had to. I just saw one of my I didn't have many notes about this episode, and I was like, I must have been kind of low on it, but now I'm remembering this episode whipped ass, and my last note on this episode is, bro, this episode's been so baller I forgot to take notes.
It's really good.
Anyway, any other thoughts on In-Chain Reaction of Symmetry?
One last thought, and I have to drop it all on you in real time, so I have to open the chat, and I'm sorry. This is a moment.
I'll say there was a great 90s ass deep techno track in this episode. Hey, the music is so good. The music in
this show goes so insane. It's so good.
So I tried really, really hard to be super diligent about this and, like, find, at this part of this episode, this is where this song drops. Regrettably, unfortunately, bless Yoko Kanno, she has split the Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex OST into 3 albums and not discerned what song is from what show at all. And 90% of the songs have Japanese names. So, guys, I have no idea. But also put on any of those albums on shuffle and just sit there. I swear to God, this music is so fucking good.
It's really fucking good.
Yeah.
Anyway, Alice, you have something.
There's not a dud track in there.
No.
Yep. Hit us, Alice.
So the thing is, the Russian arms dealer in this episode that we get to meet. I just need all of you to know that you know him. You know him from chapter 8 of the manga.
Oh.
You know Koil Krasnov, the shortest Russian man you've ever seen.
My God.
It's Jimmy Russian Manovich.
It's Russian Manovich.
It's Russian Manovich.
That is a Dragon Ball character.
He is also remote controlled, as we'll find out soon. But I just need you to know that they make some pulls from the manga in this late half that were
You guys, I am so thrilled to read the manga. There's so much Kusanagi shit that I had always been so mystified by in the latter half of this. That makes so much more sense that we've done this project. Like, oh my God.
It also makes it interesting to anticipate what we're going to get out of the new series that's going to be coming out, that they announced, that is supposed to be hewing much closer to the manga. I'm interested to see, because, like, okay, at this point we've seen a lot of different takes on this character, iconic storylines, the kind of arc of where Section 9 goes. Like, I'm interested.
I'm just going to say it right now. I think that reading the manga and rewatching this has made me so excited for the new series because this ends in a way that, because what we know about the new series is that it's going to be closer to the original manga in style and design.
Yes.
And it's actually set up very well.
Yeah, the end of this is like literally, it looks like it's about to start with chapter 1 of the manga.
So actually, this is probably a good place to say it. OSG will not be doing Ghost in the official on Pod Ghost in the Shell coverage for the month of September. We'll be back with ScarJo in October at this point. Thank you for helping us reach our Ko-Fi goal.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
I'm not sorry. I'm so excited.
I have the cable. Hey, everybody. You did this. Listen to the crinkling. You bought this.
You bought that.
Are they doing in-stream ads now? They're so desperate.
It's not an ad. I didn't say where I got this cat sick cable. I could have taken your money, gone and gotten a succulent meal, and then shoplifted.
I'm gonna kill everyone. Rocks fall, everyone dies. No. Anyway. We're not gonna be doing pod coverage. I am personally going to watch Solid State Society, which is the movie that continues directly off of the end of this show and features the Tachikomas. And I'll be writing about it for the OSG website. So maybe look forward to that if you want to. Or don't look forward to it and be like, that sounds like dog shit, and then don't read it, and that'll be fine.
Or forget about it and then be surprised by it.
Anyway, imagine you're in a squad with Togasa, a full-blooded human with a cyber brain, and you're the one that dies in the combat? Classic red shirt moment.
Anyway, we got part 3 here. Episodes, 20, 21, 22, and 23. Section 9 tracks down Kuze for real this time. I swear they have it. It's going to be so good. It's going to work out. Kusanagi's going to win. Kuze buys plutonium before ending up in a 3-way with the JDSF armed suits and Section 9 and Tachikomas. The episode ends with Bato.
You know, there have been worse 3-ways historically.
Way worse. Then, Section 9 continues to rack up losses as they desperately try to both stay on Kuze's tail and also get hard proof of Goto's manipulations of the scenario. When Kusanagi comes up empty-handed yet again, Section 9 watches a Coast Guard feed where a conveniently timed power outage allows Kuze to escape with what everyone thinks is live plutonium. When an old nuclear bomb is discovered in the Kyushu subways, the public zeitgeist immediately blames the refugees as the CIS seizes the scene and Section 9 worms their way into an intercession. Aramaki desperately tries to get the Prime Minister,
The Prime Minister.
Prime Minister.
to approve a risky formal investigation into the CIS's bullshit. Finally, en route to have the plutonium tested for proof of the CIS's nefariousness, Section 9 enters a net blackout and is cut off from Aramaki. Kusanagi takes de facto control over Section 9 and makes some intense strategic calls, rerouting half of their plutonium to Dejima in an attempt to uphold the pretext of the crisis and turn Kuze in with the nuclear material. We're exploding. This gets so crazy complicated, but I think it's handled so at least the minute-to-minute things that are going on, I think are handled really well. I don't know that the politics always hangs together extremely well. I think it's so there, at least as an adult coming to this, there were never times where I was like, what? Whereas that has not been the case for me historically.
And I do think this is another big W for the 26 episode season. Because you get to do nonstop bangers. You get to have the end of your season just fucking explode. If you have had plenty of time to put all of the little elements in place in way lower stakes episodes and offshoot episodes and this is a movie episodes and all this kind of stuff, that gives you all the runway you need to just blast off into the insane shit that happens in the next, the end of the season.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, do you want me to just get in on the sexiest fucking fight we're ever gonna see in this fucking show? So, from the moment Red Shirt dies, we get into this just sequence of events that leads to the coolest little fight between Tachikomas and arm suits that then turns into a running fight with Kuze that turns into the sexiest knife fight I've ever seen in my life that then ends with the fucking coolest explosion of a helicopter ever put in an anime. I'm including so many in this. Holy shit.
All of what Alice said is spread out through all 4 of these episodes, but I must say, jumping ahead a little bit, that knife fight is gay sex. It is so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll start with the Tachikoma fight. So they're in a just kind of a construction area, generic bullshit. What I really like here is highlights I want to put out, which is love the Tachikoma spotlights. We're seeing a lot of Tachikomas with their high beams on, and I think it's really cute.
Iris?
Yeah, I wanted to point out, actually, I feel like the setting wasn't as generic as
I was about to say the same
have
thing.
stated.
Please go. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So this is actually interesting. So this is this is taking place on an island off the coast of Hokkaido, which was formerly a contested territory between Japan and Russia. I wanted to say, and I was talking about Ghost. I was talking with Ghost about this earlier today. It's interesting to contrast this with the 95 film, where a lot of the slum type areas in that film are very Kowloon, Hong Kong coded. Whereas this feels distinctly more Japanese, like post-bubble. They're trying to construct a geofront, a new sort of, they're building more land onto it. So it's this concrete mega structure that had millions of dollars poured into it at some point or another, but now it's just sort of rotting away in the ocean air, as people kind of retake its industrial nooks and crannies as housing or airsats shops.
Or places to buy plutonium from a remote piloted Russian corpse.
Airsats shops.
Airsats shops. Yeah, we support small businesses.
It is a third world future being built in the rotting shell of past wars. I don't know. It feels the setting feels very indicative of the vibe.
I totally agree. I thought the lead up to this, where they're like researching the electric company that owns this stuff. By the way, quick, just all time cyberpunk shit. Kusanagi goes and finds that guy that's been fried by the attack barrier, and he's kept all of his records on what?
Floppy
Okay, but like the natural end stage of anime figurines being just cute cyborgs just laying in your room looking at you.
Around like
they were cats.
They were literally cats. They were cats. He coded them to be cats.
They're gonna eat his face when she leaves.
At least they'll reprocess his body humanely. Anyway, I popped when the floppy disk came out.
Yeah. No, all four of these episodes are like Nico said, nonstop bangers. The Tachikoma, the scene where like they're kind of regrouping and they come out and Kusanagi's like just arriving on the scene and she sees the unmanned Tachikoma fighting the unmanned arm suit and they're just kind of like, it's so
the Major
funny.
Just goes, are they both unmanned? Was such a good moment.
Hey, finally, Tachikoma Day segments foreshadowed something that happened in the real show.
I really like the fight with the arm suits because I'm going to make you guys talk about actual robot mechs in this instead of the existential threat of cyberization. Okay, can we do that for a moment? Can you give me that?
Please talk to me about it.
Because this is the mech fight of this entire run of episodes. I think the arm suits having the fucking minigun crotches is such a wild design.
So crazy.
You know what it brought to mind for me?
Shit.
Oh, you're gonna post the GIF. Post the GIF, please.
I'm about to post the GIF. Hold on. I'm scrolling. It's in my favorites. There it is.
Yeah.
Robot jock chainsaw dick.
Awesome.
Oh, holy shit.
Listen, it's not overcompensation if your military bought it for you.
These things are kind of fucking ugly in motion because they are just CGI, which I do think just kind of like knocks those as mech designs for me overall. But the Tachikomas shine in this. Like, I love when they do we actually get some shots of them like inside piloting a mech in a mech fight. And I'm like, hell yeah, it's finally happening. But then it also gets to the point where like, the snipe shot with the cannon from the rafters? Hello? That shit was baller. To the point where they're just cleaning up at the end of it because they're like, this is whatever. And I just love that Bato's like, hey, you're good. I'm going to be like Titanfall 2 and just pop out. You fight him and finish this off. I'm gone.
You know what
moment.
I like?
Great
My favorite
moment.
part of the armed suit is the face. You know why I like it so much? It's Squidward.
No. Speak on that.
No.
Look at their big
I'm gonna have to
nose.
Google
Look at their big nose.
That big nose.
Look up GDSA
No, I
armed,
see it.
GSDA armed suit sack.
No,
Here we go.
I see it.
Yep, there it is.
Yeah, that's it. I just wanted to talk about that fight. Also, Fit Check Section 9 Fit Check. They are at their hottest. They are in like 90s SWAT gear with little bandoliers. They're on fire.
Is the clear 11 feet of rebar that Bato gets impaled with part of his outfit? Do you think? Does that count?
It is now.
He makes it work.
Is so
Okay.
deep and so long. She is pulling it out for like a comical amount of time while they're talking.
I think, can we just talk about the crucifixion of Bato and him rising 3 days later with a cross? Can we just talk about the sudden Evangelion of it all?
Hey, was that piece of rebar actually the Spear of Longinus?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
you might have misheard in the dub. Kuze says, I lost because we have a slight difference in motivation. He actually said, you lost because I have an AT field. That's what he actually said, like in the Japanese.
So I love this chase down. They get the nuke material out. Bato does his favorite thing. He yells Kuze and then puts the laser sight right on Kuze because you gotta know you're targeted.
The animation of Bato taking the first shots and Kuze moves over his vitals with his hand it goes so hard. It fucking rules.
So cool.
It goes so fucking crazy. And then he has those bullet wounds for the rest of the show in his hand. If we want to talk about stigmata, or we could just gloss
that.
So did you guys identify the two knife fighting styles that the both
Absolutely
adopt?
not. Tell us about them.
Bato is using the U.S. Marines version, which is interesting, and then Kuze is using the Japanese Army's knife fighting technique. So I think that's very cool.
Alice, I thought they were using CQC.
Now, you might be like thrown off because has introduced the coolest fighting style, but real fighting styles still exist in this universe.
Wait, the coolest fighting style is when Kusanagi does flips?
That's where you hold the knife by the
fuck
tip,
off.
holding it all the way up. You remember the best knife fighting technique that we saw earlier.
The reverse Salt Bay knife stance.
When you give him that reverse Salt Bay.
Yeah.
Anyway, Sci-Fi fucking owns. It's in this giant industrial well. They're just beating the shit out of it. Kuze has speed. Bato has power. And God, it's so good.
The character stuff, the character writing in the show is so strong because the second Kuze finds the lead in that plutonium case, that it is confirmed for the viewer that Goda's behind this. Because you know what Goda loves to do? He loves to give people fake plutonium to carry around. That is his favorite hobby.
He's constantly just at the golf course, not golfing, sitting in the bar, thinking of how to give people.
At the end, when he's having those Americans try to escort him out, you know what they have? Fake plutonium. I'm just kidding.
Fake plutonium.
No. Another thing, it's very sad, and again, it's just such a bummer about like how the refugees are treated in this narrative. But the suicide bombing that fucks up Ishikawa, like it hits. It fucking floored me.
So I love this from hey, Secretary Bot check-in. Number one, we get another variant of Secretary Bots coming up. I just want to be very clear, get excited, that's down the line. But for now, the Secretary Bots have become such a major character of Section 9. They are the pilots. We do not have human pilots. I just love that they are robots, but they are still turning their heads and looking their eyes because they're piloting a helicopter in an enclosed space, which is like the most ridiculously hard thing to do. Holy shit, this explosion is so well animated. This is so fucking
They were like, okay, these are the last 4 episodes of this whole show. What kind of metaphorical couch change can we dig up to fucking animate some sweat and some explosions and some making of tea in these last few episodes?
It's the rule for when you're trying to impress somebody with a presentation. You start strong and you end strong.
In the middle, you can just talk about however much political situation you want to.
No, exactly. Just go out with a bang.
I want to talk about another cameo from earlier Ghost in the Shell content that appears here. In the aftermath of this, like another humiliating defeat at the hands of the CIS to Section 9, Kusanagi goes and tries to like investigate the CEO of this electric company, and he lives in the house from Ghost in the Shell 2 Innocence, like the chessboard floor, the weird ornate ceilings, like
the references.
At a certain point, you've got too much money. If you're look around you. If you're listening to the show right now, look around you. If you have a chessboard floor and ornate filigree everywhere, and perhaps some sort of clockwork automata, you might have too much money.
If our dulcet tones are chaotically bouncing off of your cavernous filigreed operatic living room, you might want to check yourself.
You might want to go to Ko-fi. Go to OSG Pod and scrape off some of that filigree into our alms cup.
Speak for yourself. My life goal is to one day construct a luxurious and laborious confusatorium for me to preside upon.
Yeah, but the difference is, Iris, you will have lovingly hand constructed all of that. This guy, I feel like he bought it all. And you know what? Support your local artists, but I feel like, Iris, yours will be handcrafted in a way that I'll be like losing my mind in there and still be like, wow, I really like what you're doing with the contrasts of colors and textures here.
Oh yeah, it'll be a conundrum for the ages. But I also think that it's interesting that guy is, so if I was reading that correctly, that was his office, and that's inside the Sagawa Electronics Company, the people who manufacture the RC corpse drone tech, which also is currently being essentially squatted.
What does the Raytheon CEO's office look like?
but it's interesting because the headquarters for Sagawa is also being squatted in by the rebel guerrilla faction.
It's so
because
cool.
Those guys are also remote controlled pre-dead corpses belonging to the CIS, which I thought was such a great little narrative touch.
Oh, I was going to say the CIS, and they don't, one of the things that gets a little bit muddled here is they don't explain it at all. And so this is my reading of it, but the CIS is having to remotely control so many corpses and false flag so much shit at this point that they have a special hacking interface that no one else has, which is like the brain chair from Star Trek that your zombies have to sit in and be like dwellers from Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah,
you see this Harkonian motherfucker from Dune shows up.
What I was going to say is, I love how much of this show is interested in, because we had the standalone complex, right? This show is really interested in a central intelligence, not just like cabinet central intelligence, but like a central intelligence and its appendages. And I think that is so interesting. Iris, when you brought up earlier that they talked about like artists do this and they do fandom spaces, I was also thinking about artists, and I forget if it's not Picasso. I'm trying to remember. There are artists who are known for having shops where they basically just bring in apprentice artists and they just warehouse or like factory floor manufacture their art. And it's like this collective all centered around one artist that's just manufacturing more of their art that they basically just
sounds
sign.
Fucking gay.
And a lot of artists do that. Well, a lot of artists do that, especially a lot of like large scale sculptors and stuff, because like there's only so much that you could accomplish as one person. And if you're going to be doing larger installations or projects like that, or if you maybe have, I know that people like, at the Visionary Art Museum in Baltimore, there was an artist who did a lot of wrapping stuff inside of sort of fabric and yarn and stuff. And she was non-vocal, but she had a team of folks who she worked with where she would point out what she was working with, what colors she was working with, and how she was going to combine them. And they helped her construct these complex and elaborate pieces of art. So I think the idea of art as a collective act is relevant there, yeah.
It's interesting, and it's I like the contrast between that as art as a collective act by necessity that acknowledges the people part of the collective, and then art as a collective act where the mechanism and the people involved in it are not acknowledged. It's just all signed by one person with no indication of the fact that there is a studio around them that constructs it. But I think that parallels what we're looking at as far as like what Kuze is trying to do with the refugees, as far as like helping organize an uprising or organize a guerrilla front versus what the Central Intelligence Agency is literally having to do where they're puppeting corpses. It's like when you concentrate all of your power, leadership, knowledge, and authority in one place and then everyone else's appendages, what do you turn that sort of power towards? You know, and we're seeing two very different approaches.
Dad, I want martial law from Pat Labor 2. We have martial law from Pat Labor 2 at home. I like the intro of that episode with the bomb. That's it. Also, some of the most fucked up outfits.
One of these episodes has a Tachikoma Day segment where and I believe it is I believe it's the one where Kuze gets away on the boat because the Tachikomas are trying to field a new submersible Tachikoma. And what they have done is absolutely nothing different except they have taken the wheels and just turned them like this so that they look like flotation devices, but they actually don't do anything. And when confronted about this, the Tachikoma that designed it says, well, it's only natural that a Mark II should be twice as useless, right? Which I think is really funny.
Oh, I love them. I would die
so
for them.
Good. Anyway, the bomb.
But who gives a shit about that? We gotta talk about the best conversation in Ghost in the Shell
so Oshi
that happens concurrently.
With the birds?
Fuck yeah. So I love this. So before this, we do get a moment that I think is really good about the characterization of Section 9, which is Bato finally goes to the Major and says, you can ask for help if you're going through a rough time. And she says, thanks, I'm allowing you to say this to me, and that's because I respect you.
That is what she says.
That was sweet and also hilarious.
And now I'm going to let you do what I was going to do, which is distract Goda while we do some fucked up shit. And this is when Section 9 is officially back on its bullshit.
Oh, I love her so much.
This conversation's great. This is when we learn what trigger. So Goda admits through this conversation, but doesn't actually admit because Goda exists in this framework that is what is allowed within the legality of the framework. We see this throughout his entire character. And he basically explains that the individual 11 viruses trigger is you had to read all of them and you had to have been a virgin before you got fully cyberized, which is why then we get the that's why episode 2 when she's checking in on that fucking incel who can't get laid, who wants to blow people's brains out. Because that's the same tendencies as the individual 11. I think that this is really interesting, but what I want to drill into is, as we were going through this conversation where Goda and Bato are basically interrogating the concept of what the individual 11 is as far as the CIS's plan, is something that Iris said in our last episode, which is, on this rewatch, all I can think, when I originally watched this, I was like, oh, Goda is a perfect manipulator. They have plans everywhere. But Iris said he's so pathetic, and this whole time I'm like, he's such a pathetic little
I totally
man.
realized I have the exact same note. I Iris really nailed it talking about the characterization of Goda last episode because, the way that in this conversation he is fishing for compliments for designing a good terrorist is so cringe, actually.
It's like, wouldn't you actually think that the hacker who did this, who I'm
is
not
sexy?
saying is me, actually was really super smart and cool and sexy and totally epic, no cap? And Bato's just like, nah, cringe, mid, in fact.
Well, is he perhaps goaded with the sauce?
No, he's Goda with the sauce, obviously.
Oh, fuck me.
The prescience of this continues to just be so very impressive because where Goda exists is in a framework that there is a legality. And Japan lives in this in its everyday life. Japan has amphibious assault vehicles right now. Their constitution says they can't have any offensive weapons, but they have worked the legal framework to say that, that's a destroyer that can be beached in an emergency. And it's that kind of legal framework where Japan is and most countries are well, we can just make the words mean what we want them to do so we can do the fast shit. And I think that world concept is being brought into why I think he's so pathetic, because I see so much of that in the world around us right now of just the most milquetoast piece of shit dude who never got laid is taking it out on the world. And it's pathetic.
There are a couple of mirror maneuvers that I want to talk about in this episode. The first one being, and Bato points this out in the dialogue. Kamiyama is doing here like what Kuzude's decision to proceed as though he has the plutonium. So he sees that he doesn't have the plutonium. He walks out to the refugees and we see him decide to continue acting as though he has the plutonium, right? Even though he knows he doesn't, and he also doesn't know that he's being puppeted by Goda, right? So it's an unconscious repetition of the fact that it is a maneuver of Goda's, which might be some kind of standalone complex, which is when I said out loud to myself, Kyle wasn't even home, I said, is this the best anime anyone's ever made?
It's very cerebral in a way that is so rewarding, considering how much, even for the show, look, we look for good mech stuff. We have watched some stuff that is pretty brainless. I gotta say, I am eating,
Alice is
especially
scooped.
after the Metal Gear. No, but after the Metal Gear, where I was just constantly subjected to ideologically inscrutable media, it feels good to eat, even if it's like kind of sloppy. You know, even if you get in there and that goulash a little,
it's a little
manwich.
It's a little manwich up in here.
Eating.
Compared to the politics of price of smiles, which is, do we have enough cabbage? What if we stop burning fossil fuels and we have enough cabbage?
Guys, have they tried to deploy the button that turns nuclear weapons off forever?
No, I think... Hey, you missed a whole aspect of the price of smiles politics and curiosity, which is there are orphans over there, okay? Just saying.
You laugh, but it's like, it's this anime and Paranoia Agent, and it's like top two animes that'll make you watch it and think, wow, I'm going to stop watching anime after this because all other anime
I was thinking about Paranoia Agent the other day. That unsung hero, I don't feel like that's talked about nearly enough.
Okay, the three of us are doing, we're doing a side content. We got to record.
What is it? It's like 10 episodes, right? We could do a little
Yeah, it's short. We can do it. We got to do a thing. Okay, sidebar this, because it's the greatest thing that ever happened.
The other thing I want to talk about is that this whole episode is a mirror of when Kusanagi, and importantly, Kusanagi was originally supposed to do this in this episode, but she decides to let Bato do it. It's a mirror of the first season where Kusanagi goes in disguise as the Laughing Man to chat with the CEO of Serrano Genomics at Starchild Coffee, which are all of those nouns I remember because that episode also whipped egregious ass. So
good media would be making you remember nouns. It's good. It's just good.
Did you guys like the part where Boma just drops that he made bombs and that were intentionally designed to kill the people defusing them back in the war?
We needed 27 episodes so that we could have the one episode about Boma being a demo expert. I needed that.
I'm obsessed
Shout out
with
to
him.
Boma, my bomb guy.
Fat Man Metal Gear Solid 2 Hooms.
Bruh, if we had turned around, if at any point someone at the Section 9 bar where you go to smoke and have crimes done to you, if someone had turned around and Bato was sitting there with a little glass of sangria with a little Kirby straw, I would have fucking popped, dude.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Also, he needs it and he deserves it. Anyway.
Episode.
Hey, who's his name?
I love Boba.
Who's his name you put in here? What's a Richard Epcar?
Oh, Richard Epcar is the English dub voice actor
Bato.
for Bato.
Yes.
He's played 1 million billion roles in anime and games. If you've played 999, he's the old guy in 999.
Is that the one where you get murdered 9 times?
No, it's 9 hours, 9 persons, 9 doors. You're escaping from a ship, and it's a escape game puzzle. I was gonna say it's funny because when I was watching this, I was this was last night. I was watching it alongside my partner who was working on some sewing, and he turned to me during this conversation was like, I'm really sorry. I know they're saying important stuff right now, but I literally cannot hear Richard Epcar's voice without thinking of him being the dub voice of Boba Bobo Bobo.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Which just goes to show why he is a national treasure, because that kind of range is
that
not
kind of range is
present in every
incredible.
actor.
I mean, he's always gonna be Bato. Like, I'll be watching Bo and being like, I wish I was laughing because this show is fucking like literally methamphetamine for the eyeballs. But that's Bato with the blonde afro and the nose hair that kills people.
We're taking one more ride in the spaghetti slide, Major.
Both incredibly happy and incredibly sad that there are more voice actors in anime now.
Yeah, you don't get that kind of serendipity anymore, except with like Sungwon Cho. Like,
I want to get y'all's thoughts on this. So not not only was Aramaki's brother actually in the refugee district in the last season, but he's on Dejima making tea.
He's just kicking it.
Classic Aramaki in a different situation maneuver. If Aramaki's circumstances were slightly to the left, he would also be doing this.
I love the fact that William Knight does like a slightly tuned to the left affect for Aramaki's brother in this. I think the performance is really subtly different in a way that's really, really cool. And also, it's also like yes, it's his brother. Yes, we're not going to talk about it at all. But yes, that's him. That's the guy.
You were paying attention during season 1, right? Right?
So I do want to talk in this string of series. Number 1, we get the coolest plane. It's like a modified AWACS for jamming the net. But I'm in the right series of episodes, right?
Yes. I was looking up what AWACS is. Oh, that's the one that they blow up with the stingers, right? That plane fucking rules. I agree. Yes.
Yes.
So those planes rule. But what I do want to say is to talk about the mech vidal. So I want to talk about how 3 million refugees are in Kusei's brain at all times. And
normal.
What the CIS does is the refugees are united, right? So the obvious metaphor, the refugees are all united under one voice so that they can negotiate. So what they do is they take that one voice away with jamming, and I think the show proposes an interesting theory that I don't agree with. The waterfall theory that Iris, I think you mentioned earlier, like, hey, eventually people are just going to fall to their basic instinct, which is violence, right? Like, if I pull them all away, and then it actually happens. And wasn't there a scene in like the first series where some person shoots when they're not supposed to? Am I thinking of a different show that we watched?
No, you're thinking of it because it was another Goda machination. Because he brain hacked that one guy, and they were in the armed transport, and he shot one of the refugees and opened a firefight.
He's holding a gun.
Well, this made me contextualize that though, because like I was thinking of it, and I was like, at first I was like, oh, Goda hacked him. But then I'm like, oh, part of Goda's theory is that like all it takes for people is to be put in a stressful situation and pulled away from the collective consciousness to make those rash decisions. And, that would happen with or without Goda. And I'm like, that's kind of fucked up to assume.
Yeah, this was a mode of thought first popularized by another fascinating manipulator of public thought, the Joker. All it takes is one bad day. No, but what were we going to say, Brian? Sorry.
I don't know. I don't agree with the philosophy. I think there's something alluring about the fact that the same thing is happening as in that episode where Goda manipulated that stuff. But in this time, it was actually the reverse, right? Like it's the refugees who take the first shot in this situation. And I like, on the one hand, they do talk about that, and also on the one hand, like the quote I read at the very beginning of our episode here was talking about how like basically Kabiyama thinks that is either I don't know that I would say he thinks it's right, but he at least finds it compelling enough to write about. But I will say like the thing, like regardless of that, the thing that I find compelling about this specifically is like, the cyber, the internet is more intimate and more real than real life. Like there's a line they talk about later where it's like, yeah, we could send pictures of this nuclear sub, but like pictures don't mean fucking shit. They could have had Mid-Journey 2 make that. You know what I mean? So I think that the social pressure put on the refugees, and I mean, obviously they're living in squalor, their conditions are downright deplorable, but also like the fact that they are being barricaded, the situation is tense. Like it's not, the show wants us to be thinking about this, but it's not so much a backslide into aggressive instinct that causes this guy to pull the trigger. It's the fact that he's a kid with a gun and everyone who's looking at him hates him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think about that exactly. A lot of the conversations, especially like we touched on Israel-Palestine at the very beginning, but like a lot of the conversations around resistance in Gaza, it's like people have the right to resist annihilation. There's like in the world now we have like two classes of people who have their doors kicked in and have their entire lives ruined, and people who fantasize about it and use it as an excuse to get really weird politically. Like we run into this over and over where it's like there are people who every day have to, or castle doctrine is kind of predicated on the idea of their situation. You are helpless. All you can do is try to defend yourself against someone who has come into your space, and it is your space and you have to defend it. Whereas that is most commonly used in America for people to just shoot people who happen to be in their neighborhood. Like, there's such a different approach to the perspective on violence, and there's always this feeling that's presented in media that I feel like it tries to reckon with terrorism and with insurgency and with guerrilla movements and things, which is there should be a perfect victim. And I think it's one of those things where it's like, Gandhi did so much good, but we are also forever in his dark shadow, where it's like everyone wants the victim to be angelic and like always turn the other cheek and always, and like, I think a good book to look to for this is How to Blow Up a Pipeline by Andreas Malm.
Great book.
That is a book that talks a lot about the difference between nonviolent movements as the anvil and armed militant movements as the hammer. And how do you get policy to change? The threat of the militant movement is compelling enough that the status quo will bow to the anvil of the nonviolent.
And like, you know, because again, we talked about Gandhi earlier. Like, aside from all the fucked up stuff that's come out about Gandhi in like the last 15 years or whatever, like, Gandhi got to be pacifist by leveraging his status as a cultural icon to say, if I starve myself, what are these people going to do? That is not. That literally is what Nico just said. You know what I mean? Like, he and the people he is directly involved with do not do those acts of militarism, but he is still threatening that by using his body. So like, it all comes out in the wash.
But it's one of those things that it's just like, it's so frustrating to run into media where over and over, and I mean, this is mostly more prevalent in like Marvel-verse shit, where it's like, we need a villain, and it's anyone who has a reason to fight for their life and does it. And like, it can be so frustrating, but I also like... That's
part of what I love about Kuze in this. Like, I just think that his character sits in such you don't get a character that's to me as compelling as Kuze without having him be balanced on all of these different extremes as far as like what counts what types of violence are justifiable, what types of cybercrime are justifiable. Like, one of the things we didn't talk about is he's doing that thing from Office Space, or that thing from the Yes episode where he's just skimming, like, or from Superman 2, I guess, where he's just skimming like non-existent amounts of cash out of every like merchant transaction, and he throws out some ridiculous number, like he has like $100 kajillion or something right now from doing that.
Yeah, like in Hackers with the
war chest.
Like in Hackers.
Well, I mean, okay,
he did zero cool.
In this, Kuze, he literally uses the same scam that they use in Hackers to grab fractions of cents off of transactions.
Yeah, he was in the phone booth doing the Einstein equations.
I do think if you wanted to say push back on a white savior narrative, broadly extrapolated, but if you wanted to push back on that, I think you could point to the dehumanization of Kuze and the objectification into a literal icon, and the most compelling part of that, I think, is the fact that his face is beautiful and unmoving. And I find
he looks
that
like a
so
statue.
Compelling paired with everything. Yeah, he looks like an icon. He is like ready to be gloriously crucified. He is beautiful and perfect and ready for that.
Yeah, they collapse the bridge. Dejima is like officially 100% isolated from the mainland, like both physically, cybernetically. And we get into our last little part here, which is episodes 24, 25, and 26. The situation on Dejima continues to escalate while Kayabuki is removed from office, and Aramaki, Togusa, and Proto are confined to the cabinet building. Proto manages to get access to the Tachikomas, and together they discover evidence of an American nuclear submarine closing in on Dejima covertly. Kusanagi convinces Kuze to go with her as the first official airstrikes are ordered on Dejima. In the destruction, Kusanagi and Kuze are isolated in rubble, where Kuze reveals his true intentions with the refugee crisis and his own personal revolution. Meanwhile, Tokusa, Aramaki, Proto, and Ishikawa race to get the plutonium to the testing center and ask the Americans to cancel their nuclear launch. Somewhere in here, I spelled the word Jigabachi, Jigglebachi. Anyway.
Hell yeah.
In preparation for the American nuclear launch, Kusanagi orders the Tachikomas to make room in cyberspace for everyone on Dejima Island, which is an insane thing to say in the first 30 seconds of an episode. She is fully prepared to shed her body once again, but the Tachikomas don't think the process will work, and so they ignore her orders and drop their core satellite onto the missile as it launches. In the aftermath, Goda is absolutely fucking owned beyond belief, and Section 9 is back on their regular job, echoing the first chapter of the manga, Fuchikoma's included.
Yeah.
I want to be the guy that had to animate Goda's brains exploding for 3 weeks.
I'm so glad the Major had the bloody mess and just exploded that man.
I like that she shot him in the chest first so he would feel the pain before she blew off his brain. That's, it's beautiful. How do you shoot down an AWACS?
With 5 Stinger missiles, 4 of which miss.
Be underestimated by the enemy.
There's also that.
They were really like, they don't have anti-air. We can just fly right there. Idiots.
Was this the scene where the one guy, picks up an RPG by basically kicking it out of the box into his hands?
That happens in a boat. It's so good. I literally wrote down, I was like, in the background of all those scenes of Kuze talking shit with that angry kid, he's in the background with a stick or something, practicing that move.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so much.
He's got a broom handle and he's just...
No,
I do like when other military hype is the tanks are crossing the bridge and then those multi-ped tanks with the tracks, and one of the refugees shoots an AT-4 at it. Thank you for asking. That is an AT-4. This is a real thing that you can buy. And I love it as it's so they do the helicopter shot of it streaking towards it, and it has active area protection that stops it short of the tank. And of course it did. I love that. I love that little note. It made me happy.
I wanted to ask, is the temporary extendo truss bridge that they put over top of the blown apart bridge, does that count as a mech?
Yes, bridge layers are mechs. I'm here to say it. It has an articulatable joint.
Yeah,
it can move things. Look, hey, if I can consider the Zaku tank a mech, then yes, a bridge layer is a mech.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
Scenario, deleted scene, fan fiction. I'm writing it live right now. You're the person who has to solve the bridge problem. And people are like, can we do a floating movable bridge during World War II? Can we just get some rafts in the night? Can we do this? Can we do that? And you're the guy who says, no, we have mechs. We meched our way into this problem. We're going to mech our way out of it. And they just let you loose in a garage with a bunch of flat metal plates and a whole bunch of, I assume, industrial road paving equipment, and you come out with that motherfucker. I'm obsessed.
What if a mech just walked over and stretched out across the expanse and everybody walked on his back over into
See, that was
Dejima?
what I thought Nico was going to say.
I'm imagining 4 Fuchikomas holding little hands, and they've got their little wheels, and every time someone walks across them, they're like, ouch,
no,
ouch.
oh no. No, what I was going to say is it even has a sense of scale because it is just a big version of that heart palpitating thing they have you do at really small airports where they just lay a piece of sheet metal down between the plane and the carousel, and everyone just has to pretend that that's fucking normal.
Oh, it's good as fuck. Well, it's not good. It's objectively not good as fuck, but it does
some
roll.
of the best action of all time. Once again, Kusanagi versus helicopters. When she calls the drop down maneuver, and then they get ambushed by a Jigabachi in the middle of that, and she's dangling from the rope the whole time, bro. Holy shit! It's so fucking lit.
Yeah, that fucked.
I want your take on it. She let go on purpose, right, guys?
Well, yeah. She had to get out of that situation. She could just dangle there forever.
Well, she could have. She's a cyborg. She could have just...
That's what we call locking in.
What I'm saying is, I think she did it so she could get to Kuze alone. Oh. She's got a crush.
She's
like, we have to complete our narrative cycle. Come here.
But then we get Black Hawk Down Section 9 edition. Fuck yes, this part
It's so
owns.
good. These like the
First off, you can just steal a military helicopter if you're Section 9. You can just do that. You can take that and it is yours now. So I love this. So this is really cool because like I think I put this against the first season's ending, which is like overwhelming military force applied to Section 9. They're just having to go to ground. Versus this is it's like small man teams at about the same level, but Section 9 is just like, you know, they could have just wiped these Rangers at any time. And my reason for that is they do the water thing. The Rangers fall for it. They walk through the water. So it's cool because the Rangers and Section 9 both have optic camo, and they're both flickering it on and off. The Tachikomas can't really give them support. They're all offline.
There's a quick like kind of blink and you miss it detail where Bato shoots a grenade back at the guy that threw it. It fucking owns. It's so good. But you ever you ever make a speech in the middle of the firefight and what wins you over is that everyone has the same fuck ass eyes as you?
Okay, this was the best reveal because like so they all have these big ass bricks on their face, which are tactical as shit, and they all kind of have the haircuts, so you get like this, like, wait a minute, and then they take them off, and they have Bato's eyes. Okay, I did have the thought when they're all standing around Bato, and they all pull off their things, they all have their fucked up eyes. It did look like, you know, like a ninja village from Naruto. They all had their own unique characteristics, but they're all dressed like ninjas. And I was like, oh my god, Bato has reunited with his village.
It was like it's like such a like weird like the episode of Winnie the Pooh we never got where Tigger gets to meet his family or whatever. Like it was just like so cutesy in that way.
I was once one of you.
It's so funny because this is typically a racist maneuver, right? It's typically like the one black guy on your squad talks to the gang, or like the one guy on your squad who speaks Farsi or like or speaks Pashto is gonna talk to the militant group. Instead, it's the one guy in your squad who has the same optics. It's so funny.
Okay, but it's also very funny because, like, to me, it also felt like a little bit like Bato is like the brooding, angsty loner, the man who can never make friends and shit. This just felt like, bro, you never call. What's up?
You never come home for the family reunions. Peepaw cooked burgers. Peepaw Recon Eyes cooked burgers for all the grandkids. And only Section 4
we had gross, perfectly square cyborg tamales and everything. I am so sad. I could not figure out what song this is in the soundtrack, but there's so the other thing that's happening in this episode is Proto gets to actually do stuff and it all whips ass because he gets to like hack into the.
Hey, y'all remember Proto, right? Everyone remembers
yeah,
Raiden 2.
You know, it's fine.
Yeah, the prettier Raiden. Somehow they made a more beautiful Raiden, which is why they keep him in the lab.
He's also kind of the puppet master from 95.
He does look like that. He has that like beautifully done face.
Yeah,
in the
he's
same
really
way.
like, what if the puppet master just like, yeah, okay, I'll work here, sure.
But there's a specific moment where like Proto hacks in so that Aramaki and Tokusa, who are currently being detained, can talk to the Tachikomas through him. And around the time he gets fried by an attack barrier and like becomes immobilized, which is like heart-wrenching actually. That fucked me up. Around that time and around the time the action ramps up on Dejima and like Aramaki is like strapped and he like gives Tokusa his gun and it's like all this stuff is happening. There's a song that drops. It starts with like this rhythmic clapping and goes into this like funky, like bass heavy, like my entire body got goosebumps when this started playing and all this shit started unfolding. It hits like crazy. It's so good.
Y'all, I've gone a lot of dark places for this podcast. Thank you for bringing me to your beautiful home. I like it here. I love what you've done with the place.
I love Aramaki drops my favorite line Aramaki ever drops, which is he pulls out his ankle gun and he says, "They searched you. They wouldn't dare to search me." And I'm like, yeah, Nobody's doing that shit to Aramaki.
They didn't think Aramaki
Let's
could
go.
bend for the ankle. They said, how old is this man? There's no way he's got anything below the waist. He needs to pull.
I love that. So my favorite thing is he hands this piece to Togusa and Togusa gets out of the room and then Togusa just immediately does OSP anyway. Like he doesn't even use it. He grabs the other guy's gun.
Togusa, okay, at this point, sorry, these are blurring together for me a little bit. Is this the point where he's wearing his shirt and tie and his tactical vest and looking like
Togusa's fashion choices?
Yeah, but his phone choices are great. Did we see those 2 frames of the best phone in
Wait,
the
no,
show?
I didn't. Can I see this phone?
No,
I need to see this
post
phone.
it. Post Togusa's phone pics.
You got games on that thing?
It'll take me a second.
It'll take you a second to find it.
So, okay, can we... do you guys just want to talk about Proto's whole bullshit that they just throw in at the last second here? He bleeds white, just like the secretary bots. Why is that, guys?
He's a biodroid.
Yeah, he's a prototype artificial human.
Yeah.
Cum blood. We got cum blood.
That's just a thing that Section 9 is also doing now, guys.
They're building, replicants. Whatever.
It's fine.
Fuck it.
Fine, that might as well happen.
One of my favorite things about this is he's got the cum blood, and then for the rest of the episode, he's drenched in like silvery cum stains. Like it is so stark how it looks different when it dries. It's so weird.
It is very funny that like episode 24 kind of ends with him like getting shot up and it's like, no, Proto, no, my favorite character, no. And then next episode, it's like, oh, he's propped up against the desk and talking. He's fine. He's fine. He just got his body a little fucked up.
He's built different.
You shouldn't have like gone like, one last dying breath, Togusa.
We gotta kill the dog. This was sad. So Tachikoma's realized that the Major's idea is dumb and it's unsure. And in the way that only AI can do, they're like, well, let's just do some math about it. And they're like, we can probably just drop a random satellite and hit this because it's going to go up into the stratosphere. That way America can say we don't know what's going on. Also, America was just going to do it anyway. Everything that Togusa is doing was worth nothing because America always planned to do this.
Well, look.
I
they're
think
like,
that makes
well,
sense.
we got to drop a satellite. Wait a minute. That's the satellite we live on. Also, it's an American Empire satellite for the NSA.
Reveal of the fact that the Tachikoma's consciousness is being stored on a satellite, but it isn't a fucking Japanese satellite. It's an American satellite that was launched in Japan that they're leasing server space from. Don't put your Tachikoma in Dropbox. I made 2 notes because I'm a garbage can, but to me, this calls back the loss of Yano. Hey, y'all remember Yano?
No.
That's your fucking
Nobody
red
does.
shirt who you keep calling a red shirt. It's their one rookie that they lost.
Oh, I
in
didn't even know
Section
he had
9
a
during
name.
that one part. Yeah, his name was fucking Yano. Sorry, I respect men.
I'm sorry you respect men too.
I was just thinking about Red Shoe Yano.
But there's a moment where one of the Tachikoma's like, well, he had a cyber brain. Why don't you just pull all his memories and upload it into a new cyber brain? And I think it's Bato who says, even if they did that, his ghost wouldn't be there. And that's the only line that's mentioned. But to me, that is what directly sets up the Tachikoma decision to do this.
Yes.
Because I think if the Tachikomas didn't have that experience of like, why is everyone sad? I mean, I know we lost a member of Section 9, but we were lost and recovered. They just re-uploaded us. And then Bato having to explain that like with human beings, you can't really do that. You lose the ghost. That leads them directly to go, okay, the Major wants us to try to upload 3 million people to cyberspace, and I guess we could do that, but would it actually take them and their ghost? Like, would they escape? Or would we just have 3 million people's worth of memories and nothing? And they're gone. And that's why they decide to do this. I love that was such a thin connection to, like, why did this rookie die?
I was gonna say, it's so rare that you get to learn something from your god that later you realize that you have outgrown them. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the first season, it's framed that the Major is like the god of the Tachikomas. Kind
yeah,
of,
her voice is what they hear.
At this point, it's that like being patient with them and trying to teach them this stuff that eventually saved millions of people's lives.
Well, and like in multiple ways too, because and Kuze and Kusanagi brush past this in a way that is kind of mind-boggling to me, but also this is wrong. Not a single one of those million people consented to have this done to them. So there's that. Like they do talk about it very briefly, and Kuze just says, "I'm sure some people would be upset." All right.
And then we get a few scenes later of like people on Dejima trying to hand babies off the island because presumably babies don't have cyber brains. Like they're trying to get children and people who aren't cyberized off the island. But it's again, like you said, the absence of the refugee voice, and we only have Kuze as like their speaker.
What I'll say is like he does attest that he asked them all in his cyber connection that they got back, and the majority were on board. So
Okay.
I'm imagining getting a group
we have to
text.
take his voice.
Are you
so it's
good
the same
dying? And I just say no, but
Well, I just want to say, regardless of all that, in this context, Kuze says a very important quote that I think sums up everything ever. When people feel no sense of responsibility, it makes for very poor use of the net.
Yeah, no.
but it's
Truer things have never been spoken.
Yeah.
What's the so the Tachikoma start to sing, which is very cute, and I very much love this. So
I like that in the dub
moment,
they didn't even try. They didn't even try to record a new Tachikoma song. They're like, nah, leave the original in there.
Because I think it was like a respect thing, and I think it hits so hard. It just
and then the meteorite from Your Name happens, but in much less high def, and they impact with the nuke, and it explodes. It's beautiful.
So much of this really, this is bullshit. So much of this really reminds me of reading through Discworld for Discoverers, my other podcasts, and like thinking about, we just finished the episode for Thud just went up, and it's about this concept running through the whole series. Actually, there's two concepts that come up in GitS Season 2 that also come in Discworld. One is the great man theory, which is, bullshit. And the other one is the idea that all things strive, that all things with a spark of vague life will eventually want to roll towards consciousness, towards becoming a fully formed human being. And that might take different shapes than we're used to. That might take more leaps of empathy than we are currently willing to give. But we have to try, because in the end, that's the only effort that matters, is this striving to self-actualize.
Sorry, not to totally derail us, just real quick. What's in the number one spot right now for Discoverers?
Number one right now is Nightwatch.
Oh, okay.
Let me post the current
Solid.
list for you.
I only ever read part of Mort when I was little, and I was too little, so it didn't quite make it for me.
Well, we have a great ranked list on here. Nightwatch, Going Postal, Monstrous Regiment, Feet of Clay, and The Truth are the top 5 right now.
Nice. Okay.
Okay. I mean, hey, that's what happens.
Yeah, the moment when the Tachikoma just goes up to so the rest are like back at base, and they make very clear to show that one Tachikoma is in the physical space and complaining about how long it takes to move places, which is just great. But goes up to Ishikawa waits until they get there and is like, "Hey, I gotta go with the others."
Oh, it kills me.
And Ishikawa is just like, he thinks about it for like a couple seconds. He's like, "Okay," and then it just powers down. And
I love Ishikawa.
Fuck.
Yeah.
The way it's animated collapsing is fantastic. And then it cuts to the inside of the car where we see my gender, which is Ishikawa, beat to shit, arm in a cast, looking like death warmed over, with some loose nuclear material riding shotgun.
I really want to underline that earlier, like the major calls up was like, "Ishikawa, I need your help. I need you to grab some plutonium." And Ishikawa was like in a fucking hospital bed in
With
like
a cast.
several casts. And he's like, "Well, it's for you, Major."
Yep.
All right.
And and we have some of their backstory with that moment with the Saito episode. Like,
Yeah.
he has been in the Major Circle of Trust for so long. Like, yeah, I mean, yeah, fuck, yeah, he's gonna go get the plutonium, even if he's gotta hobble his ass out there.
Get you someone who will go get the plutonium, even with a broken arm.
Bato is wife guy moding, but Ishikawa is embodying that, like, I would follow you anywhere into hell. I just wish you'd fucking stop going or whatever.
Actual wife guy.
The Bato with the cross shit is so stupid. You could kill them both.
Motoko!
You could kill them both doing that, but immediately preceding that is pure art. When Kusanagi makes a call and says, I'm staying here, I can't leave, no one can find me, we're stuck here, you guys need to get off the island. And then Bato's not responding, and she's like, why is Bato responding? Hard cut, Bato is running in the sunset, screaming her name. It fucking hit. He loves her so much.
It's so good. Oh God. And when she's talking to Kuze about this, and he's like, I never found anyone that was like, and he was like, did you ever find anyone who was like trying to reach you or whatever? And she's like, yeah. And then like heart cuts back to Bato, and I'm like, I don't know. This whole sequence is it's high melodrama, but it is going, especially just like there's a specific intimacy. And it's funny because like y'all have mentioned a couple times the romance here. Yes and no. I thought this was interesting. It struck me the same way as like Pacific Rim. They specifically shot for a sort of ambiguous romance / friendship between the leads. So there wasn't a big climactic kiss. There wasn't, I mean, they jack straight across, which is pretty fucking intimate. But I also like the idea of like, these are perhaps the only two people in the world who completely understand each other's experience, except for the later life stuff. Like, Bato really loves the Major. He will never understand what it was like to be cyberized so young. So
I think this is a good time to kind of think about when I talk about this as a romance. I think people assume romance begets or assumes sexuality to it. It assumes carnal relations to it. What I think gets to here is it's interrogating romance without the sex. Like, our characters are not innately sexual. A cyberized body is not innately sexual. We had the perverts in the earlier part of the season who really are like, cyberized bodies are sexual, but the cyberization in Section 9 is about transcending your physical self into this more net-focused personality and the human connections that can come with it, and how what is really truly important, especially to Motoko, is, and as she finds out, is those like connections with others. And she has a connection to, sorry, you wanted to interject?
I was just going to say, I think you're right. I would just push it slightly to the left in the sense of that I don't think to the people who live in the cyberized bodies are inherently sexual. I think people who do not have fully cyberized bodies are more likely to sexualize them, thus the like cyber cats that are just laying on that guy's console as anime girl figurines and shit.
Those are robots as opposed to a cyberized individual. What I'm saying
is like so often what we've seen with cyberized stuff, and even Kuze, he is just aesthetically beautiful and non-functional. I like what you're getting at. I like what you're getting at as far as like they feel sexless in a way that means their intimacy has to be channeled a different way.
You might say that everyone is beautiful, but no one is horny.
Well, and see, that's what I was gonna say is like if they wanted a sexual, like when Ghost in the Shell wants to be horny, it is going to let you know.
Well, yeah. Which I think is like, I like that the romance ends with a hug, and I also think that what I think is a good takeaway from this is like why Kuze didn't succumb to the individual 11 virus isn't that he got laid before he had a cyberized body. It's because he made a conscious decision that isn't where he found fulfillment in his life. He found fulfillment in others. And so does Major Kusanagi in another way, is like, yeah, she sleeps with girls left and right. She's Yuri Maxing. She's slut coding. But her true romance is in the net. It's in those connections. It's in, a man screaming your name with a giant cross that's iron. And you're like still leading him on, which is cool because he's into that. And,
Well, I like that point you're making about, like, Motoko having relationships that defy the norm. Like, she and Bato, I don't think, are any less intimate for Bato, the closest to penetration being shoving a piece of I-beam through rubble. But no, I mean, and I'm thinking about what you said in context of the Puppet Master. Like, that had romantic valences explicitly, or like, weirdly cybersexual and cyber intimate valences to it in a way that was really cool. So yeah, I think this is really interesting. But I also think it has ambiguity you can read different ways.
I totally, I will say one of the Kamiyama quotes that I left out talks, I think it is, I don't think it's a very good quote. I don't think it is very flattering to Kamiyama, but he talks about how he meant for them to explicitly be in a romantic relationship and how he felt that grounded Kusanagi's character. I think that's a boring take. I think you did way more with the ambiguity here. But I do want to say, she is about to puppet master with him, when Bato shows up. And I just want to say, dudes and entities that have dudes' voices are always trying to get Kusanagi to shed her mortal frame and go onto the internet with them. And I just think that's interesting. This is like the third time.
It's almost like she's the only woman who exists in the series. Anyway, here's Togusa's fucked up phone for you.
No!
Whoa! That's the worst it is.
Oh yeah, and it flips closed.
Clat.
Oh my god, how many keys is this? Ah! You've heard of a 10 key.
This man rocked a Dvorak on his phone.
So in the Master Stroke of Ghost in the Shell, the final two scenes are Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 of the manga. We get they get Goda in the hallway in the same way that it happens in the first. We can't let you go. I got to shoot your brains out. And then we get the best thing, which is we got our Fuchikomas and we got our round-the-clock cherry blossom bop. Let's do it.
24/7.
And we have our goofy-looking original manga Dragon Ball Z ass uniforms. I love those things. They look sick as fuck.
This is, as Nico said often, this is where how we have done the year in the shell has paid off. So in the manga, this is a much different Kusanagi in this scene. She is hard drinking. She is party girl. She is just waiting for the money for the government. And in this version, much more relaxed, much more chill. But where it diverts is that in this, in the manga, they all leave together and they go into a brain dive to talk about the mission. In the end of this episode, Bato is like, hey, should we all get into a brain dive and share the information? And she's like, no, I'll catch up with you. And she leaves a different way. And I think that that's a really fun note to just kind of wrap up. What the series has done is it has pulled from all of the other existing Ghost in the Shell IP to tell another story. I see Ghost in the Shell and all of its different parts as like a retelling of the Iliad. These are all just retellings of these mythical creatures who are just greater than life, gods in their own right, walking on Earth. And it's beautiful. That's it.
I love in the Iliad when the puppet master tries to get Homer to leave his body and join him on the in the etheric realm.
What I mean.
I know what you mean.
Poem.
Yeah.
I like it when Achilles punches a bitch in a car out right in the face after he holds it down.
I didn't say anything about it.
Fucking
a
off
guy
with
whips
his broken arm.
Whips in.
Ishikawa, motherfucker, ultimate.
I just love the CIS whenever they have to actually put boots on the ground, constantly taking L's because they're fucking losers.
CIS clowns.
They're clowns.
Jokers.
Real quick, there is a one last Tachikomatic Days through line where they
the last one.
They continually tease a Tachikomatic Days special. And they finally show you the trailer in one of the episodes. It is, what if Tachikoma was Spider-Man? They call him Tachikoman. He is, it's red. It's a red Tachikoma. It actually looks awesome because it's a red Tachikoma, but it is just doing Spider-Man stuff. And then all the Tachikomas hate the trailer and they beat up the Jameson director who has Jameson director sunglasses and a Jameson director chair. And they beat him up because they don't like the trailer. And that's the last of the Tachikomatic Days.
That was Yuri? The very end of this episode.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I got it.
You get to the very end. I was sitting there staring at my screen as the credits rolled. I was like, oh man, what a year in the shell it's been. I said aloud to myself.
You're right. Kyle was not even in the room.
Kyle was not in the room with me, and I said, what a year in the shell it's been to him. No, and then it goes to the end, and it does like a fade to black and then a fade to white, and it's just a Tachikoma in a white field. Like, Oh, I guess I made it to like the afterlife. I'm dead, I guess, but no one else is here. What the hell? And I don't have my halo, so I'm not dead. What's happened to me? And it like tries to just like scurry off, like, well, now I definitely get to be Bato's favorite. I'm the only one left, you know. And it's like scurrying off, and it like runs into something and bounces back, and it's like, what was that? And then eyes emerge out of the whiteness, and then an outline fills in, and it is confronted by the shape of the Tachikoma. And like cherry blossoms begin falling across the screen.
I'm so lesbian blind. Like I thought this was like a the angel showing up to take you to the afterlife type
It
shit.
didn't have a halo, so it was clearly alive. They're just
okay.
gay.
You're right. No, I agree. Your reading is way better than mine. I'm just saying my brain didn't go there because I need to satellite download the software that lets you put Yuri goggles on for the robots at the end of the television show.
I've got the mid-range targeter for Yuri installed. I don't have to connect to the satellite.
Long time in the Fujo trenches fighting for your side to earn my right to Yuri goggles. I had to get the Fujo GI Bill to afford my Yuri goggles.
Do we have any final thoughts on the meat of this episode that we have today?
Great way to wrap it up. That's it.
Yeah, fantastic.
Nice little bow.
Yeah, I don't know who it was who said it to me or if I just read it somewhere, but somebody said like second gig falls off. I don't know. I liked them both equally. I think they both hit, but I also am coming at this as a 31-year-old woman. So like I understood
second
more
gig
of what was
falls off if you're a kid, yeah.
They're two very different species of story, too, is the thing. And I think that some of those interesting stuff comes from how much they mirror each other while also operating in totally different, like, headspaces. And in some cases, a lot of the contrasts are sharpened by the similarities between the first and second seasons. I don't know. It's a great example of a show that you wouldn't think would need a sequel getting a really solid and interesting sequel. Perfect? No. But what art is? All art is flawed. Let's have a party.
But yeah, I think, what is the next thing we're actually covering, like officially that's not a bonus episode? Is it Arise in November?
Ooh.
Okay.
Arise.
So we're doing Arise, and then I think Arise is basically it until the new thing drops. I think we're probably going to try to cover that, right?
I think we threatened a drunk 2045, but that will be schedule permitting.
Okay.
I'm just doing it.
I was just going to do it alone.
It needs to be covered.
But my way of saying that is basically like for now at least, this is basically where we're at with the Year in the Shell, and I'm satisfied with that because I don't think Ghost in the Shell gets better than Standalone Complex. I like Arise a lot. Mostly, I think Arise is gorgeous, and I don't remember much about it other than that. Whereas I remember shit from Standalone Complex. You know what I mean? So. That's it.
This was, I just want to say this was an excellent anime experience. It brought me back to the feelings I used to feel when I was watching stuff from what I consider like my golden age of anime. Like when I was watching even the original run of Full Metal Alchemist, which just had a dog shit ending, but like I was encountering anime and manga that was just like playing with different ideas and presenting me new ideas. And I was young, so a lot of those ideas were novel, but like being older, just seeing ideas explored seriously through the medium reminds me like, yeah, anime can be really, really good. You know, it is an art form, not a genre. It is, like there's a lot of depth and breadth to it. And I really enjoyed my time with this.
I want to tag onto that and just say, like, you kept bringing up the 26 episode season. Here's what I'll say. No longer do they approach the production of media in Japan, like anime media like this, where like they plan it out in advance and there's a vision that's to it and a whole committee gets involved. And like the amount and list of names and what went into this specific era of the two movies and the 2 seasons of this show is a media movement that you don't see in anime now. And what I want to say is like, we're getting Overlord season 4. And like Overlord was this much loved light novel. People loved this because it was one of those like original isekais. This is redefining the genre, whatever. And instead of like taking that and like making it beautiful and doing like tie-ins and this and that, they just made like this most dog shit show with like a comedy spinoff. And then they did one of the best plots as a fucking shitty movie because you can't even get a full season for one of the most beloved arc of light novels. And Ghost in the Shell, Standalone Complex, and the movies was based off a fucking goddamn 14-chapter manga that is like very flawed, but has cool ideas. And they were like, let's take this and do something awesome with it. We don't get that shit in anime anymore. It's fucked.
Returned with the coup. Sorry, I was trying to think of what character would most be like a V.
It's really rare. There are a few series that have come out in recent memory that are trying to reach for stuff like that. I would say Science Saru's series Sunny Boy was doing some interesting narrative stuff in a space.
It's so fucking good. But we can't do that because we have to do one important fucking thing on this podcast.
What is it, Alice?
We gotta rate these goddamn mechs.
Yeah. Alice, what's your rating?
Oh, 10 out of 10. Easy.
Yeah, do we want to do a lightning round?
I don't need to do this. Even with the arm suits being as ugly as they are, the multitude of the ways that they use Tachikomas in Second Gig, even if you were... Because I have to think of this, like, apropos of the other things that are going into this. Mm-hmm. What did I see in Second Gig? Did I like it? Yeah, I fucking loved the Tachikomas in this. I loved the mech of them. To get into the Ghost in the Shell of it, the weird, like, we talk about, oh, bodies are mechs and shit. And, like, I know for a lot of listeners, they're just like, hey,
exactly
I'm here for cool robots.
Like.
So I like to... I know the three of you are going to bring the like, oh, consciousness is important, and also 3,000 million refugees in a brain isn't the same as a Tachikoma satellite, or some other philosophical shit. The robots just fucking rule in this, and the ways that they do robots in this are cool, and I just like the robots. 10 out of 10. This shit rips.
I love you, Alice.
Approach Alice with approach Alice. Approach Alice.
Approach Alice. I might.
You approach me.
Approach life with the tenor of Alice talking about any of her co-host opinions at any point.
I know you're gonna do your thing.
I know you're gonna talk a bunch of shit.
Oh my god! All right,
Iris, what is your rating? You're rating now. This is your first time rating, isn't it? Did we make you rate the first season?
I think
we did, and it was a 10.
We did.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
We did, and it was a 10.
I mean, it's still a 10. Like it's still 10. It's awesome. There's the robots in this they define what I think of. Like I mentioned, like the artistry and stuff, but also like these robots really defined how I think about robots and how I think about the concept of just bodies and interacting with the world around you and thinking about the concept of shells and ghosts and stuff and whatnot. Like I said, like this show really cracked my egg, and it wasn't just because of like wow, what if there was a cool lady who shot your eye out and then said, yeah, you're mine now. Although that would have immediately transitioned me.
Yeah, better than HRT.
Yeah, that would have, it would be like that. She would hit me with the estrogen bullet, and I would have been like, whoa, that's amazing.
And the voice training too.
Yeah. She just shaved a little off the throat. Really good aim.
With the bullet.
But also in terms of the idea that you can, even through adversity, even in a system designed to drain us of every possible joy before discarding us like trash, even when the state owns every aspect of our lives, it seems like we can still snatch scraps of joy from the jaws of oblivion. We can still exert control and agency over our own bodies and our own selves. That's really beautiful, I think. And that, I don't know, GitS matters so much to me because of that. All aspects of it, even the adaptations that weren't no good. All aspects of it have that sort of like underlying, even when it's talking about dense, crunchy, miserable geopolitics, there is also the presence of deep joy in having a body that embodies you, that expresses you in its most clearest and unequivocal way. I don't know. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yep.
I would have a microphone in my clavicle so that I could podcast on the go. Nico, what is your rating?
Somehow we've unlocked a new level. So we know the Nico quotient is, I have to give at least a 6 out of 10 if I looked up a model. I think I now have to give a 10 out of 10 if I sat around thinking of a beautiful diorama that I would make. And what I would make would be the last Tachikomatic days where the Fuchikoma and the Tachikoma meet in the white space with the cherry blossoms. I was like, that would be such a cool...
You could have a little acetate or like a clear paint over it with the cherry blossoms painted on.
Oh my god! I was literally doing all of this in my head, and I went, I've unlocked a new level of the Nico quotient, which is I've started building dioramas in my home, in my brain, which is my home because Ghost in the Shell.
I mean, just wait till you get a tattoo, then it'll be.
Yeah, I'll get one. I do want to say, so I added something to our list of mechs. I added Proto, because I think we've talked a lot about the Major. I think we've talked a lot about through the whole Year in the Shell, the shelling sequence. We've talked about interchangeable bodies. We could get into that with the angel bombings, like the whole interchangeable bodies as a tool kind of thing. We've talked about that a lot. I really like what this series specifically did with prototypes and incomplete or flawed platforms that you use, because it is either the best platform to approach the situation you're in, or it is the only platform you have. And like, when you make those platforms a home, I think for like the same feeling I would get about a story where you get a mech and it's like a secondhand broke down mech, but it's your mech, so you care about it. That's kind of how I feel about like Proto and his body is like, yeah, he's got this early cum blood android body that's like not even like really that good anymore. Though apparently it's fine because he took a bunch of caps and just chilled, just sat it out. It was fine. Like those kind of relationships to the body beyond just this is my body and it's a vessel I'm piloting, down to this is the only platform I have. And like, I personally, when I think of cyberpunk and things like this, I vacillate between, I think, the two poles of anyone who engages with sci-fi critically, which is, God, this technology is really fucking cool. I wish we had it. I would love to have a cyber brain. I would love to hack the net. I would love to go completely virtual. I would love to have a mech. I would love to have all this stuff. And then like the part of you that lives in reality where that's like, I don't want my brain to be something that the police could crack and use all of my memories as evidence. And anytime you make the intangible tangible, that is a thing that you are up against. And also mechs would imply like, why do we have an industry that supports mechs? Oh God, I don't want to be in perpetual war universe, you know? And I vacillate between that constantly. And like, I think Ghost in the Shell is a beautiful series that lets me both go, oh my God, I love the Tachikoma that had construction paint. I need a Tachikoma kit so I can paint it to look like the construction paint version. And then also, Jesus Christ, this is all fucked up forever. We can't let this happen. It's really good. I love all the approaches to embodiment and mechs and all of the different variations thereof. It's another 10. It's another 10. She doesn't stop winning. The Major doesn't miss, especially not.
Yeah, I was originally going to give this one a 9 because the one thing it doesn't have, and the one thing about the first season, because I gave the first season a 10. The one thing the first season has that this doesn't have is the concept of the Laughing Man being unmasked in broad daylight, waving a gun around, and still nobody knows what his face looks like because he is able to trouble the fact that we have this mediating apparatus in our eyesight in the future. Mm-hmm. That like changed my, like, I wrote an essay about that. Like it changed my entire brain to think about that. And so like, when we were talking about Year in the Shell, I already knew the first season of Standalone Complex was going to be a 10. So like that was a no-brainer. I was going to give this one a 9 just because it doesn't have that sequence in it. Like it's almost not fair, and it's not fair. I'm changing it to a 10. Welcome to the Yakuji Club. Because like it has everything else. It has the standoff between Saito and Kusanagi where Saito's like, okay, I have 45 seconds because she is downloading software that will allow her to use her. And the specific word he uses is full sensing sub-automatic rifle, which is a crazy thing. That gun is insane looking. Mechs. It's a 10. That's it.
Yeah. We didn't even touch on the satellite shit with the Fuchikoma and the bodies. This, if we wanted to be real sickos and get really technical, this could be our off-ramp to the ancillary series, Brian. Like, this is where you get into ancillary bodies and networked consciousness and shit like that. It's got it all. It just has it all.
Okay. We are going to go and take a break. And when we come back, we're going to play a game that is whack. It's a whack game.
Hey guys, Alice here. Thanks for listening to On the Shoulders of Giants. We're really happy you're here, but if you know anybody who might be interested, we'd love if you share our work with them. If you are enjoying what we're doing, maybe send us a message, or what would really help us out is if you leave a review online. Really, a lot of the algorithms will push people down if they don't have reviews, so it really helps if you just go and write something on the internet. Heck, we might even read one on the podcast if it's really nice and makes our hearts go doki doki. So if you could do that, maybe do it, and thanks again for listening. Now, back to the show.
Our game today is called Fuck, Marry, Kill, Crucible. And despite its name, it is actually the result of a compromise. You see, our previous Ghost in the Shell host and proprietor of the Year in the Shell, Nico, said that we would revisit the FMK grid when we were finished with Standalone Complex. Unfortunately, the final host of the show landed on me, the arbiter of truth and justice. But I am not without mercy. Some of us may be placing little pictures of guys under little categories ascribed to whether or not you would have sex with them. However, I have decided that to do such is a sacred and uncontestable honor in the sense that what we are creating today is the platonic ideal of the Standalone Complex Fuck, Marry, Kill tier maker. This is the objective truth of whether or not humanity would fuck, marry, or kill these characters. In that light, in order to earn the undisputed right to place a character on the grid, you must first answer correctly a trivia question about evolutionary biology and the mind-body problem. I will rotate through direct address questions. There are enough tiles and enough questions for each person to have the opportunity to place up to 3 tiles, but stealing is allowed in this game, so some of us may have a disproportionate effect on our scientific findings today.
I have no idea what this means. Let's go.
Oh, man.
Also, I saw Goody Motoko with the devil. Which is all I could think when you said that. Anyway.
Oh my god, is that an attack barrier?
Question 1 goes to Alice. So how this is going to work is,
me.
If you get this question, I will tell you what character that you are placing, and you will tell me where they go on the grid. If not, someone else can steal, and so on if nobody gets it right. Actually, I didn't think about this. I guess if nobody gets it right, I'll just put it on the grid where I think it'll go.
Yeah, because you are the arbiter of truth and justice.
Because I am the arbiter of the truth and justice. Okay, question 1, Alice. Which of the following quotes brought Richard Dawkins to the forefront of evolutionary biology in his 1976 book, The Selfish Gene? Is it A, all life evolves by the differential survival of replicating entities? B, all life evolves by the menial survival of reproducing entities? Or C, all life evolves through the mimetic transition of surviving entities?
I have these in text form?
No. I thought about this. I was like, no.
Shit. Can I at least get a rerun of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
A, all life evolves by the differential survival of replicating entities. B, all life evolves by the menial survival of reproducing entities. Or C, all life evolves through the mimetic transition of surviving entities.
You hate this game. B.
That is incorrect. Actually, I didn't decide what order this would go in. I guess, Iris, would you like to try to steal? You can say no.
Yeah, I'll say A.
A is correct. All life evolves by the differential survival of replicating entities. I'm going to be honest.
Sounds about right.
Fuck if I know what exactly that means. I made up the other two, and I don't think they make phonetic sense. But anyway. You are placing Togusa on the grid. Do you fuck, marry, kill, or Tachikoma Togusa?
I will. Oh, man. But if this is humanity... Humanity
is succumbing to your whim in this moment. You're enacting instrumentality. You're the Gendo Ikari at the source of this.
Great Man Theory real once.
Somewhere in the teeming, endless throngs of human life, Togusa's wife is somewhere. So I think it would be a marry for Togusa.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful.
Always married in the primordial
I'm also
broth.
in there.
He's Cloud Atlas to that lady. But without the racism.
Like Cloud Atlas without the racism to me. Romantic
so
sentiment.
Wow.
Should make greeting cards.
All right, question 2, Nico.
Yes.
Which of these describes the core argument of irreducible complexity? A, An entity with complex enough biological systems will retain its scientific classification even if one or more of those systems is modified or removed. B. Once an organism has become complex enough via the overlapping processes of natural selection, removal of any of its major systems causes the organism to cease belonging in its taxonomical form. Or C, mankind is fundamentally unable to properly analyze itself as a complex systemic organic being because of the nature of perspective and sentience.
What was the question again that these are answers to?
This, which of these describes the core argument of irreducible complexity?
Okay. I think it is B.
That is correct.
Holy
Once
shit.
an organism has become complex enough via the overlapping processes of natural selection, removing any of its major systems causes identity troubles.
Taxonomy is a fucking nightmare, so I was like, maybe it's C, but then the question itself and the thing itself didn't mention human perspective. So I was like, okay. Oh, all right, who am I placing?
You are placing Tachikoma.
Tachikoma is a Tachikoma to me.
You know what? That's
me,
so valid.
You're a Tachikoma. Tachikoma
Wow.
Tachi. Tachikoma. Wow, that was a lot of work to you know what? It's funny because we're doing taxonomy work right now. Let me tell you, easy. This taxonomy shit's easy as hell.
Some of these are not
Tachicomas
that
is
bad. The first two are so wordy. This one's a little bit better, and it's for Iris. What is the name of the periodic Austrian scientific conference from the early 1900s, which invited, among names like Marie Curie and Albert Einstein, some of the first experiments in the neurological processes behind the study of the mind-body problem? Was it A, the Solvay Conference? Was it B, the Emirates Conference? Or was it C, the Tolstad Conference?
Ooh, I love an Austrian conference. Those are always good.
Those always go so well, too.
Oh, I hope Iris knows about Austria.
I think that was the Tolstad conference, I want to say.
That is incorrect.
Damn.
I guess down on my webcam feed, Nico, would you like to try to steal this one?
Yeah, I guess I'll say the it's between Solvay and Emirates.
It's between, yes.
Let's say Solvay.
Solvay is correct.
Holy shit, I'm God.
That was my gut answer. I should have gone with
Fun
that.
fact, I said they invited Albert Einstein. He actually did not go. And it seemed, I couldn't tell what exactly the issue was. The cover was that he was having citizenship problems at the time between Switzerland, Germany, and the United States. But the other take on it is he wanted to stay home, which I think is so valid.
Relatable.
Yeah.
I don't want to go places.
Yeah. All right. You are placing Saito.
We fucking Saito.
Hell yeah.
Listen, I think Saito is married to his gun, so we gotta fuck Saito.
You know the gun's in
Turns
there.
to Saito after with the cigarette art in his mouth and asks, was it good for you? I seriously can't tell because your face conveys no emotion whatsoever. Okay.
He's getting ready to go down on you and the eye thing flips up. Anyway, go on.
Question 4 is for Alice.
Hi.
Which post-structuralist philosopher, read vehemently by one of the Tachikomas, is quoted as saying, "The self is only a threshold, a door, a becoming between two multiplicities"? Was it Jacques Derrida? Was it... His name is Felix Guattari. I put Flex Guattari, which is a different guy.
Flex
That's my drag king name when I get really swole.
Or was it Gilles Deleuze?
That first one, that A.
Derrida? That is incorrect, unfortunately.
Ba, ba, ba.
Iris, would you like to try to steal? Who said that? Felix Guattari or Gilles Deleuze?
I'm going to say Felix Guattari.
That is incorrect. I get to place this one. It was Gilles Deleuze. This one's hard though, because this one's hard even if you're into philosophy, because Deleuze and Guattari wrote like 8 books together. So they
I've only ever heard their names together to the point where you could have told me that Deleuze and Guattari was just like a weird French name. I would have just believed you.
My name is Deleuze and Guattari. I'm from the Twilight Mirage. Okay, I am placing Ishikawa in Mary. No question. Absolute.
Get you a man who drives around with a literal loose nuke.
I would let him sleep, honestly.
I would steal his beard. Remember that factoid? All right, question 5 is for Nico. What is the argument that the mind and the body exist separately and that mental phenomena are immaterial called? Is it A, mind-body dualism, B, mind-body anachronism, or C, mind-body esotericism?
Is it mind-body dualism?
It is mind-body dualism.
I'd heard that before.
Yeah, mind-body anachronism doesn't make any sense. I don't know what I was thinking when I made that one up.
That'd be funny, though.
No, mind-body anachronism is when, this concept of people who are always saying, like, oh, I wish I could go back and redo my childhood or whatever. That's mind-body anachronism. That's
Kindred by Octavia Butler, actually, is what that is.
I was going to say mind-body anachronism is literally every isekai. Yeah. You have the mind of a modern person, but you're in the body of like a 8-year-old who's in fantasy time.
All right, let's write a monograph. Let's get published.
All right, you're placing pause. Pazu. Is it Pazu or pause?
Pazu.
Pazu.
Oh.
Pazu.
Pazu.
McGinn says Pazu, but it is spelled with the subtitles. Is Paz the one
with the 70s collar?
Yes, he's the one that gets in the knife fight with himself.
Oh, fuck.
Hold that name.
Yeah.
Okay, then it's got to be killed because I just want to see him in another good knife fight.
You want to see him in the first good knife fight, you mean?
I want to see him, yeah.
In one good knife fight.
Redemption arc.
All right, question 6 is for Iris. What body part did René Descartes believe connected the mind and the body? Was it the pancreas, the pineal gland, or the eye?
Not the prostate.
Damn, I should have said the prostate.
the penis and balls, baby. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I think it was. I'm gonna go with my gut and say the pancreas.
That is incorrect, unfortunately. I do want to eat your pancreas, though.
Love that anime.
Classic.
All right, Nico, would you like to try to steal?
Yes. Let's say the eye. That feels appropriately pretentious.
That is incorrect. You got to remember, this guy was French and he was holding and thinking about cheese for like hours. He thought the pineal gland connected the mind and the body, okay? I am placing the first...
Bro, I didn't even know they knew about the pineal gland.
Actually, you know what? I'm making an on-the-fly change here because I made one adjustment, which we'll talk about later, but I'm using the same Fuck, Marry, Kill list. I'm switching out the armed suit that's on this one for the GSDA armed suit that we actually see in the second season. So I am putting that one in fuck because you know that thing gets freaky with its penis.
It's a Gatling gun. What are you talking about?
Note to self, please get a clean clip of that.
Okay. Question 7 is for Alice.
Hello.
What was the original name for what would eventually be referred to as evolution by Darwin? Coined most notably by Robert Chambers in his extremely controversial anonymous publishing of The Vestiges of the History of Creation. Was it A, transliteration, B, transmutation, or C, transformation?
Transmutation.
That is correct.
I knew that one.
You transmuted the question into a correct answer.
I was really into the anthropomorphiac books. You know, the ones where the guys turn into the animals.
Oh, Animorphs? Did that come up in Animorphs? Did they talk about fucking the vestiges of the history of creation?
Are you talking about K.A. Applegate's Animorphs?
No, they talk about transmutation, and when you look it up in the dictionary, you learn this when you're a child.
Alice, you get to place the major.
Oh, shit.
I'm not ready for this level of power.
You're going to be contemplating.
I'm going to deeply show my bias. Mary. I'm making that for everybody. I think she's everybody's waifu. No one can contain her.
Alice is the Bato in this scenario, as opposed to the Kuze who would have said, but we can only have a fleeting moment. Bato is trying for the lifetime.
So you thought I'd fuck the major, but if I marry her, every day, every surface, hours.
Making bread.
Well, and the thing is, she's down, but like in a way where she's like not even like down. Like she's
honestly, she would backhack me, and I'd be in pleasure just like writhing on the bed, and she's like making pancakes.
She's like, for you, it was the best orgasm you've ever had. For me, it was Tuesday, and I was scrolling Reddit.
Some people are into that.
She'd always have a home cooked meal when she came back to me, though.
That's true. Alice makes some good ass food.
Okay, question 8's for Nico. What is the watchmaker argument? Is it A, the argument that God intentionally made us for the express purpose of keeping time? B, the argument that human beings are too complex to have been born of natural occurrence and bare science? Or C, the argument that clocks are divine and belong most primarily and spiritually to the Catholic Church?
Okay, that was definitely a heresy in like the 1200s. There were definitely some people who were like, "You've invented water clocks? This shit is insane." No, I believe this is B.
It is B, correct. This one's kind of a freebie because I feel like people talk about this
God
online.
God is the cosmic watchmaker.
Yes.
I've heard this before.
But I also couldn't resist saying clocks are divine and belong to the Catholic Church.
The Catholic Church.
I subscribe to that.
I think only water clocks, measured candles, timekeeping candles, and analog clocks with Roman numerals belong to the Catholic Church, thus Roman numerals.
What about hourglass?
Everything else?
What about sundials? Where are we at sundials? What religion owns those?
Taxonomy's hard. Hey, hold on. Taxonomy, this shit's hard, actually.
No, because they use a sundial in Scooby-Doo Zombie Island as part of a pagan ritual, so the Catholic Church would never allow sundials in there.
Yeah, and Stonehenge and other erected pagan monuments. Sundial's definitely pagan.
You are placing the Jameson, Nico.
Holy shit.
It's a box.
Don't lean in that close. Don't look perverted.
Kill.
Oh, thank God. Oh, thank God. Oh, I was sweating.
I love the Jameson as a concept, but I haven't encountered one yet who I didn't want to punch.
All right, question 9. Sorry for this one. This one's for Iris. Which of these intentional muddlings of a Rene Descartes quote appears in the extremely relevant video game Citizen Sleeper? Twitch.tv/OSG_pod. Is it A, I think, therefore I think I am? B, conquer the world rather than conquering yourself? Or C, fear is the origin of wisdom?
I should have watched that VOD. Oh, I'm fucked now. Oh,
this
is a secret negging because I didn't watch the VOD.
It's okay.
The secret nagging.
Oh no, I was really busy. I'm sorry.
No one has to watch those, but if you do,
if you're in our audience, if you ever want to make it on the pod, you have to watch them because we'll do this shit to you.
We're rancid.
But for the record, you should watch them because it is literally so relevant.
I think, therefore I think I am.
That is correct. Do you know who says that?
Yay!
A sapient vending machine says that. So, you are placing that fucked up tank from the second episode.
You know what? I'm gonna say, you know what? I'm gonna say fuck. You know why?
Okay.
Because I bet that kid didn't get a lot of dome when he was laid up in the hospital, and I bet that he's made a lot of plans, a lot of elaborate plans.
Well, he had
what
his
he's gonna
homeboy. That guy was gripping that chain link fence. We talked about that.
That's true.
And that's what I'm saying.
That's
though,
true.
He needs somebody because that guy could not be there for him.
I think we can make sexual fireworks together.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
All right, question 10.
That's really beautiful.
We only have a couple more of these to go, I promise. Question 10, Alice. Who said,
Yes.
reason is and only ought to be the slave of the passions? And what philosophical framework does this quote condemn?
What the fuck?
Is it A,
Yeah,
Rene
Alice,
Descartes? Okay, so actually, just to slow down a little bit, who said the quote and what philosophy were they condemning? Was it Rene Descartes condemning materialism? Was it Michel Foucault condemning determinism? Or was it David Hume condemning rationalism?
Can I have the quote again?
Reason is and only ought to be the slave of the passions.
That French
I love
fuck
that you guys
Descartes.
call yourselves a silly jester podcast when this is like the game.
We're funny.
This is
We're
like
funny.
Jeopardy squared.
We're silly little guys. I think it's number 1, Descartes.
It is not Descartes. Descartes had too much screen time in this game, unfortunately. Iris, would you like to try to steal?
What were the other two options?
The other two options were Michel Foucault condemning determinism and David Hume condemning rationalism.
I mean, it's got to be my girl Mickey, Michel Foucault.
Your girl.
It's a whole bald man.
who was a man.
Okay, I will say Michel Foucault, number 1 server of cunt in philosophy.
Always saying, "Oh, Mickey, you're so fine. You're so fine. You make me want to build a big pendulum."
Unfortunately, it was David Hume. Yeah, so I'm gonna place the
Oh my God.
I'm gonna place the Boma in fuck?
The Boma.
You know it would be explosive.
Question 11, Nico. Which of the following did Puppet Master say to the Major way back in 1995? A. You cannot involve yourself in a life you call unique unless you also call your death unique. B. Can you provide proof of your existence when neither philosophy nor science can explain what life is? Or C. I am offering you a chance to abandon your cruel subjectivity and become the only thing alive.
Fuck, all of these are very plausible. And the others were probably said during Innocence. Yeah, I do think Michel Foucault both served and had T-boy swag. I'm glad we addressed that.
Yeah.
Okay. What is the answer?
I think it's C.
Unfortunately, that is incorrect. Alice, would you like to try to steal?
B.
It is B. That is correct.
Because I love that quote. I want to. That's the tattoo.
You want to fuck that quote. Hey, real quick, just to toot my own horn, I made those other two motherfuckers up, and looking at them now, they kind of bang, huh?
Wow.
Yeah.
No, they're good.
Are you a philosopher?
No, I do stories for a living.
Those?
Not for a living. That's not true. That has never earned me money. That's earned me negative money. Alice, you are placing Bato. Alice has gotten the hard hitters tonight.
Fuck. Oh shit. How many who do we have in fuck so far?
We have Saito, the long-armed GSDA armed unit, the fucked up tank from the second episode, and Boma.
Okay, so what this looks like is I'm opening up my dollhouse that looks like the Section 9 base, and I'm moving my Aramaki to the side and my Proto to the side. I knock a couple Tachikomas over, and then I pick up my Major doll and my Bato doll, and I put them up to each other, and I make their mouths go, Mary Bato.
Mary Bato.
Yeah!
Wife coded.
Bato is wife coded.
I moved my Aramaki. I moved my Proto.
We have one normal question, then we have a question that Alice is going to have to call out. This last normal question is for Iris. Which of these beautifully named gentlemen is not a deistic evolutionist? Is it A, Edward Herbert First, Baron Herbert of Cherbury? B, Henry St. John, Viscount of Bolingbroke? Or C, Matthew Clare Joseph Denebele of Warlingham?
We gotta abolish Britain.
Sorry, I blacked out and just heard bagpipes for a second.
I'll say I
was up in Windsor with the Swans. I did not.
Do you need the names again?
You can. I don't think it'll help.
Do it.
A, Edward, and this first one is crazy. A, Edward Herbert First, Baron Herbert of Cherbury. B, Henry St. John, Viscount of Bolingbroke. Or C, Matthew Clare Joseph Denebele of Warlingham.
And what am I guessing? Which one isn't real?
You're guessing which one is
What is
not
real?
a deistic evolutionist.
I mean,
Names.
Herbert Sherb of Cherble Herb. I don't know any club that would accept it.
Burble 11.
Cherble Burble Herb.
Okay.
I don't.
So that is
Whatever the fuck that.
How did anybody take the monarchy seriously ever?
So that is incorrect. Nico, would you like to try to steal?
Burble.
I think the third one has a name in there that smacks of the French, so I'm gonna say B.
Oh, unfortunately, it is not B. It was C, and C is not.
It was the French.
Both Edward Herbert, First Baron Herbert of Cherbury, and Henry St. John, Viscount of Bolingbroke are real, and they are both theistic evolutionists.
And they are both approaching your location.
Matthew Clare Joseph Denebele of Warlingham is not a deistic evolution and is also not real. I made him up. Okay, Alice, what is this last question called? What would you call it? Okay, we have a bonus question. This is for the right to put Proto on the grid. Now,
oh fuck! Our bonus character,
whoever says their first name, as a buzzer, and answers the question correctly, will be able to place Proto. Who is the final person to speak to the Tachikomas, and what affirmation do they give them?
Nico. I think it's Proto.
Okay, what does Proto say?
Fuck me. It's something like, good job, homies.
I'll take it, because it is Proto and... Oh, sorry, go ahead, Alice.
Isn't it all go on ahead?
That's Kuze's last words.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Iris, doesn't Proto say, like, if you didn't know better, you might think you guys have real ghosts or something like that?
I think you guys have ghosts?
Yeah, he says, you know something, you guys do truly have ghosts. And then he falls over but doesn't die, which is funny.
It's really funny that he just like takes a little breather and then he gets back up. That has to go to Iris. He did not say homie at any point.
That's true.
You homies, you got ghosts in there. Via Cordios.
Homies, you
I'm taking
haunted
a
as
nap.
fuck.
You can't be saying via
Oh, by the way, for that last question, I got to place it. It was Aramaki, and I'm placing him and Mary. All right, so Iris, where does Proto go?
He's in Tachikoma.
Where does Proto go? Where does Proto go?
I think
Prototachi?
I think that I think there's only one option here, and I think we gotta put him in fuck. Like
he's too beautiful.
I think that he's so hot. I mean, I know that he will eventually be superseded by the later model Mega Man, but for now, during the fight against the conniving Dr. Wily, Proto is here to stay, and he is here to gay.
He had to be fuck or Tachikoma, so I accept this.
Yeah, I want to see what how bio is that roid? You know what I'm saying?
You don't think there's going to be a dry one? Because, I mean, it's all...
Oh, yeah. I want to see, if the blood is cum colored, what color's the cum? Hopefully not blood colored. That would be awful.
We have a really, really quick piece of viewer mail that we are not going to spend too much time on because we've gone way over, but I just want to bring it up really quick.
We're definitely not looking at Jer's Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, sorry, Jer, your Magic the Gathering thing. This is actually from Roberta, who is in our Discord. I don't know if they have a handle elsewhere. I'm not sure. I should have probably asked them, but if you want to talk to them, they're on our Discord, so get in there. Also, while we're on the channel topic, just crossed 1 hour into the episode. This is our last standalone Complex Proto episode. And to comment on y'all's interest in Stabat Mater being a hedonist group, they are the cyber BDSM syndicate, the Motoko clone / alter / puppeteer offspring Millennium runs in Man-Machine Interface, which is a chapter of the manga. If you guys remember the guys in the blimp who spoke in Barcode, that's them. I believe, Iris, you're the one that went and found these manga panels, which are fucking insane.
It is so cool.
And Roberta is Soft Rodvit, SOFTRODVT, if you want to drop an at and talk more about this, or see Hank from King of the Hill mowing a little lawn on their avatar, on her avatar.
If you want to talk more about cyber BDSM syndicates featuring puppeted clones, you can hit me up at Iris J Comics on your better class of social media, and just let me know your thoughts. I'd love
if you want to talk
them.
about ladies with cans out having their mouths get all stuffed with these like fiberglass rods, Iris is your person.
She's on it, and so is Roberta with the Roberta. Great observation, and then also donated.
Yes, they are the ones who pushed us over the edge.
Ma'am, I can't thank you for that. I bought the Cat 6 cable. I can't thank you for that.
Thank you so much. I'm very
genuinely
excited.
so excited. It's gonna be insane.
You're a queen, and I hate you.
Okay.
Yeah, this is really cool. Motoko clones in the Ghostiverse have been doing wild shit, and we need more of her.
I don't see.
Major.
We've said this in the show before, which is, I wonder why none of the adaptational material is touching Chapter 2 at all.
You know what? We didn't even call it out. At one point, Motoko uses Chroma basically as a mech to cross the ghost line into Kuze, and we just didn't even touch on that because there's so much shit. But she basically uses Chroma as a prophylactic.
And also, he says the most fucking Sasuke Naruto line of all time to her when she does that, which is, if you cross my ghost line, you will become so miserable that you die.
Me, when I'm telling people why they can't come in my room.
All right, that was this episode of On the Shoulders of Giants, where we discussed Ghost in the Shell, Standalone Complex, Second Gig, Part 2, Devil May Cry, happy bonus special episode time. Any parting thoughts?
It stood up to the hype. I've heard people hype Standalone Complex like my whole fucking life, and I've always just been like, I haven't even watched the first one. How would I even know how to enter the complex or whatever stupid shit I thought of at 13? And you know what? I'm okay with having waited. I enjoyed it a lot, and I don't think I would have understood it as well when I was younger, but I also have mad respect for the people on this call whose egg was cracked aggressively by the Major at a young age. That's beautiful.
More strong, independent, female, cybersecurity, surreptitious government black ops team leaders. That's what I want. Also, I'm just going to talk about it from the anime of it all. Kusanagi, waifu of all time. Every cool character has been trying to grasp this level of fuck, and they just will never. She just fucks so hard.
No one can throw themselves out enough plate glass windows to be her.
It's true.
Not even Keanu.
No.
Keanu's getting close, but John Wick 4 kind of jumped the shark of becoming Motoko Kusanagi.
Iris, where can people find you? What is up? Is there you know what? If anybody here should talk about the MasterCard thing and plug the efforts to do that.
I was actually going to plug it, even if you didn't ask about
okay.
it, but because you did so nicely.
We're going to ask about it.
I'm Iris J. You can find me online at irisj.net or Iris J Comics. You can buy my stuff in my store at shop.irisj.net. Also read my comic about queer hackers uncovering a corporate conspiracy at crossedwires.irisj.net. It's been on hiatus, but I'm bringing it back soon, along with a very, very exciting announcement about I don't know if I can talk about it yet, but it's exciting and it's Crosswires related, and I'm hyped about
this is the perfect time to catch up. Hiatus,
yes, now
always
is the great time to catch up. The other thing I wanted to talk about is right now we are in, I think, week 3 of an ongoing protest motivated through phone calling, emails, and physical mail on that is to protest the removal of games, books, tabletop RPGs, comics, and other media from itch.io and Steam that were deemed inappropriate and unsellable by payment processors that those sites use. This is a bullshit decision that is essentially censoring artists by private corporations. So there's kind of a big push right now to call companies like Visa and MasterCard, as well as payment processors such as PayPal, Stripe, and Payoneer, to try to ask them to change their policy. A lot of it is not just talking about the issue directly, but also essentially racking up enough time spent on the phone and sifting through mail that the company finds the issue hard enough to ignore that they can no longer ignore it. There's also certain bills that are trying to get passed through the House and Senate of American Congress right now that would severely restrict or ban outright pornography or other things that the government deems to be pornography, which can be a wide range of media and material, that we are also asking folks to contact their representatives about to stop. There are a number of websites that you could visit this. Yellat.money has been a really popular one. Also on the Cartoonist Cooperative website. I'm going to link that here in the chat. There it is. America likes to pretend like it can run the entire internet. And also companies like to pretend like they can do what they want and decide what they want. But if companies are deciding where is the line for what you can read and play, then it stands to reason that they can also decide what you say and think. Even if you think that porn is yucky blucky and you don't want to ever look at it. Think about all the stuff that this government would like to consider porn. They would be excited to ban and to tell credit card processors to ban. And also, if you need another reason, we've found ways to leave voicemails directly on the CEO of MasterCard's personal voicemail inbox. And I just think that's really cool. If you've ever hated living under credit card debt, now is the time to channel some of that anger for constructive means.
Thank you so much for joining us, Iris. It was really nice to have you for a standalone complex.
Thank you for having me. this was an absolute blast. You three are really, really cool, and I'm really excited that that I got to spend some time with y'all talking about my favorite anime of all time. This is great.
But yeah, thanks for listening. Pilots, remember you can reach out for advice from the team at our email, questions@osgpod.com, and non-pilots can send general questions or feedback to the same address. You can also catch up with us on social media, links in the description for updates and more. Quick plug, we were on Follow the Leader very recently. It actually won't be that recent when this episode comes out, but you should go check that out. We played Spectres of Brocken. It is an incredible GMless tabletop game. I was so mean to Alice. There's a dread in my heart for how mean I had to be to Alice on air. Anyway.
Brian was so mean to Alice. Alice was 100% on her bullshit, and I made a cowboy who may be in Yaoi with a catboy.
Peak. It's peak.
Ideal TTRPG session.
Check back next week. We'll be discussing Chasing the Ace, which is another tabletop game. We're in tabletop zone
That's
again.
one that I went on ahead and played with the Follow the Leader crew without these two, and so now we're circling back to talk about it.
Bitch. I'm just kidding. Okay, until then, goodbye. I love you.
I want everybody in an A2 loadout. I love you.
I'll go on ahead. I love you.
I can't think of a quote.
That's okay.
I love you. Thanks for having me. Bye.